Stay the Same is back with something a little bit different, something we've never done before. This is a retrospective on one of my favorite series, F-Zero. So I couldn't do this alone, so I have a guest with me. Tanner, welcome back to the show.
Hey, good to be back. I've got boost power. I can only think of that or Show Me Your Moves, and that's not even from the actual mainline F-Zero game.
As F-Zero fans, we have to talk about spin-offs. That's just the way it goes with this series. But yeah, F-Zero is a series that is something that has been around for me for a very long time. It means a lot to me, so I wanted to do something like this to kind of celebrate F-Zero sort of coming back with F-Zero 99 just a month ago, and so now's the time to celebrate the series while it's still sort of in the limelight again.
Yeah, also, I think I mentioned this when we were talking about it. Not technically, it just is. This is also the 20th anniversary of F-Zero GX, which we won't be talking about in this episode since it's the first part, but I think most fans would agree is the peak of the series.
Oh, peak racing game in general, for sure, so...
Yeah, I'm trying to softball it in. I want to get some of these Gran Turismo freaks. Did you know a gamer can become a racer, by the way? I didn't know that, and then I saw the poster for the movie. I didn't see the movie, but I saw the poster for the movie.
You mean the one they changed the title to include based on a true story?
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's and I don't know if it's true, but it's admirable that I can see myself on screen. I can see a gamer become a racer. I do not give a shit about Gran Turismo.
No. Maybe F-Zero would do a Last Starfighter thing where if you complete all the courses on the highest difficulty, then you'll be recruited into doing actual death races.
Oh, dude, that would be... I fantasize about that at least once every 2 weeks. I want Captain Falcon to take my hand. I hear that fucking Nickelback, "There goes my hero," as he, hoists me... like a bride on the wedding day. Look, we'll get into it.
An AMV of Captain Falcon to Nickelback's the Foo Fighters' "My Hero" actually sounds
Foo Fighters.
Good.
Sorry, I apologize to Foo Fighters.
How dare you conflate the two?
It's almost like Nickelback isn't as bad.
You're
as
thinking
people
of
say.
the Nickelback song from Spider-Man 2. Well, a hero could save us.
Us. We're not gonna stand in your way.
I mean, that song also low-key slaps, but just that entire Spider-Man 2 soundtrack.
But forget the F-Zero thing. We're just gonna do bad Nickelback and Foo Fighters impressions.
Yeah,
for most of the episode.
This is what you wanted when you clicked on F-Zero Retrospective Part 1.
Yes, all right. F-Zero. Cool game.
I'm a bad podcast host, so let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm Michael. This is Stay of the Save. Typically a game club style show, but we wanted to do something different this time because, as I mentioned before, F-Zero is a series that means a lot to me and Tanner, so it's our chance to kind of go through the history of why we love this series so much, and a chance to, gush and reminisce about my favorite racing series in general. So, Tanner, let's get started with... what brings you to F-Zero? What was your introduction into this series?
I think it's not going to surprise you that my introduction was Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64. I didn't even own a copy. I rented a copy from Blockbuster, which, by the way, is one of the best covers of all time, is the Smash N64 cover, because it just has Mario and Pikachu fighting, and my 6-year-old brain was like, what the fuck is this? And... there's all these...
Samus is just in the background. There's so much happening.
Yeah, so you got Mario, okay, I know him, Pikachu, Kirby, Donkey Kong, and I didn't know Link yet. I didn't know Samus yet. But then one of them was the hell is Captain Falcon? And then I think I turned it in and I rented one that didn't have him unlocked yet, it was a different cartridge. And it had this weird air of mystery to it, especially because he didn't have a stage. So my introduction was the same as a lot of people's. It was Falcon Punch. It was none of the actual racing stuff, but it did inspire, I can't describe how important Super Smash Bros. Is to me, wanting to know what all of these things were. So when Melee comes out, again, still haven't played an F-Zero game, I am learning about F-Zero through the trophies and the stages. and I'm reading every single trophy description. So I'm learning who like Samurai Goro is, who Jodie Summers is. I'm learning all these things. And I remember even one of them is like the stage where you're on Captain Falcon's ship. It even says like, yeah, this wasn't actually in the game. This was like in the instruction manual. And I'm like, what? We're like, what is this game? And finally, I played my first F-Zero with F-Zero GX, and it was basically it wasn't love at first sight though, because I did the story, and as we'll talk about when we get to it in part two, that game is very difficult, and I sort
Yes.
of had to grow to love it. Um, but yeah,
I think that's where I am with GX.
yeah, and so I did grow to love it, but also I was watching the Kirby cartoon on Foxbox at the time. It would later become 4Kids, and there was a commercial for an F-Zero show. Because I kind of knew some of the F-Zero stuff, and I specifically just saw Captain Falcon, and I'm like, I have to watch this show. So I did. I was eagerly anticipating like all like 12 episodes that got dubbed and aired in the US once, basically. But I was enthralled, even though it's not like great or my memory isn't great. But I was fascinated by the series, and then finally, because I encountered all these games at weird points, when the Wii came out, the Virtual Console was a big thing. I think people forget how cool the Virtual Console was at the time. So all these games that I had heard about through Smash Brothers Melee trophy descriptions, I could now play, and not through like a ROM or something. Like I could just download them on Nintendo's thing. I went to someone else's house because our internet wasn't good enough for Nintendo Wi-Fi. I had to go take my Wii and take it to someone else's house. And I remember I got 3 games, but I don't remember what the third was. I got Legend of Zelda for the NES. Again, that was one where I'm like, well, I have to play this. F-Zero for Super Nintendo, and damn it, I cannot remember what the third one is. But yeah, I got those 3 games, and F-Zero was actually what I was kind of addicted to. And so even then, I developed a fondness for the SNES F-Zero. And then, of course, later I would play F-Zero X, Maximum Velocity. Oh, and I did play the GP Legend game, I should mention. So yeah, that's my dissertation.
Yeah, so you kind of jumped into the series late quote unquote, with the GameCube and everything before.
Yeah, I
that.
did not
So,
do X on 64, despite having a 64.
yeah, my history with F-Zero may line up a little bit similar to yours, but with a caveat. So I did play F-Zero before Smash Brothers. I had a Super Nintendo, but I didn't have it on the Super Nintendo. Before I got my Super Nintendo, pretty late into the life cycle, I want to say like 97, 98. So after the Nintendo 64 had already come out, I was a Genesis kid growing up and got a Super Nintendo really late. So, but before that, my family went on a vacation to Orlando, Florida, where we stayed at a hotel that had one of those Super Nintendo controllers connected to the TV.
Yeah, I remember these.
So it was a really rainy day, and they were just like, all right, we'll pay for you to play for a couple hours of this game system. So it was a new game system I never heard of. That's where I got my first taste of like Super Mario World. Played Final Fight on there for a little bit and was kind of interested in like games like that. But then I played a little bit of F-Zero. I don't think I made it past like the first or second race, but I remember thinking it was like really cool. And then by the time I got Smash Brothers for the 64 and saw Captain Falcon in and everything, it was like a being like, he looks like a racer. Is he connected to that like one racing game thing? And eventually connecting the dots and being like, oh, he's from this like racing series. And then after Smash Brothers Melee came out and really falling in love with that, falling in love with Captain Falcon as a character because he's really fast. His stages are really awesome with like fighting on the racetracks and everything. Wanted to get F-Zero GX, and then F-Zero GX was a game I desperately tried to love at the time, but being like tough as nails difficult. But I love the aesthetic of it. I love the music in it. I love like the races and the racers. I was more interested in reading the instruction book and getting like the lore and the sense of all the characters and their like connections to each other. via the like instruction book. And it wasn't until like years later, just like a few years ago, when all of a sudden I had the urge to go back to F-Zero GX for some reason. May have just been like nostalgia. I had just found like a $50 GameCube at a Goodwill that had the Game Boy player attached to it.
Ooh, wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
$50 a few years ago for all that. And then it was like, what were my favorite GameCube games? And for some reason, F-Zero GX was in my head. Being like, man, that game was frustrating, but I remember thinking it was really cool. Then playing it again, falling in love with it near instantaneously. For some reason, revisiting it years later, everything just clicked. That game might have been like ahead of its time for some reason. Absolutely fell in love with GX again. And then every time F-Zero came to the Switch again, I would just be all in for it. F-Zero and F-Zero X especially being really great games. I actually remember back in like college emulating F-Zero X and loving that too. So it's just been like me dipping in and out of the series for so long, to the point where now I've played a lot of it over the years and I'm really grown to love the series.
Yeah, I think it's funny that this series does, despite being a niche series, has a lot of different entry points. Because I wouldn't say a lot, but you could be, the original Super Nintendo F-Zero is very striking. Like 1991, that is a striking looking game.
Yes.
You might have picked it up, or you might have picked up F-Zero X because it was a multiplayer racing game on the N64, the same system that had Mario Kart and Diddy Kong Racing, which are also like classic multiplayer racing games. Obviously Smash Brothers. There is an anime, even if it wasn't like watched too much, and then there's the GameCube, like critically adored, or at least fan adored one. And then of course it drops off, as we'll get to as we go on. But there was a 15-year period where it was like there was F-Zero stuff consistently.
It follows a similar path to Metroid, where in the early 2000s it was just peak. Nintendo was absolutely paying attention to the series, and then it dropped off. Whereas Metroid eventually, as of a few years ago, found its way back into mainstream Nintendo. F-Zero's kind of just been long dormant and forgotten.
Very much so. Although obviously, like we've learned through like developer interviews, there have been several attempts to like get a new F-Zero off the ground during the Wii U days. Famously, I think not the Gran Turismo people. I forget what
Burnout
racing game people were. Burnout, thank you. They actually were offered like, would you like to make a new F-Zero game? And then if you read, like the conditions were not going to work. They were like, we can't do it in the amount of time you want. But that was a moment I remember. That was like a drop of water in a fucking desert. It was just, oh my god, there is hope, because Nintendo at one point asked them, and by the way, to be clear, they were also clear, like, it was not a full game. They were like, can you just do a demo? We want to see if we even want to do this.
Yeah.
But, like, it is kind of wild. You point out Metroid. For all the drought we had for Metroid after Other M in particular, like, between 2002 and 2007, we had so many Metroid games compared to now. You had, to the point where we had a pinball game. We had a Metroid spin-off pinball game. That was the level we were at. And I will say F-Zero never had that. I do wish we had gotten like a Captain Falcon character action game, like in the vein of like a Devil May Cry or a Platinum type game.
I'm still hoping for that.
Man, one day, please God, yeah. But also I think that says something, that so much of the fan love for the game comes out of, there's that great, I think it's Hard Drive, has that article where the headline is, a huge Earthbound fan excited to finally play the game for the first time. And I do think there's which is, it sums it up perfectly, by the way. Yes. I'm a huge Earthbound fan, having beaten it multiple times, but it's 100% true that, like, I just knew about Earthbound, like, way before I had played it because of the internet, because of fan communities. Mm-hmm. And I do think F-Zero doesn't have as passionate or as large of a base. Maybe the thing is, it is as passionate. I think that, like, the people who love F-Zero. Even attempts to do an F-Zero like just really haven't taken on. No offense to those attempts, but there's not a lot like.
And we've all tried we've all have tried a handful of those, being like, maybe this will be the one.
Yeah, everyone's like, will this be the one? Because Nintendo brings Metroid back after everyone adapts to like Metroid being the dominant like basis blueprint for most side-scrolling indie games. And that really hasn't happened with F-Zero. None of the we haven't gotten. I suppose we've had certain games that tried to be the Mighty Number Nine or Ukulele of F-Zero. But first off, just the fact that I named those two, I think says how well projects like this have gone. Most games, most spiritual successors are like that, and not like a Bloodstain, which I've heard is very good. But I think something for me with F-Zero that you've hinted at, because you were talking about like reading like the manuals or the character bios, there's something about the aesthetics to F-Zero in particular. And I don't
Yes.
think this is that kind of thing that you couldn't really design in a lab. This came from like just weird 90s shit that then evolved into weird early 2000s shit, influenced by like every piece of sci-fi under the sun. And it's wild.
Yeah, it's sci-fi, superhero, heavy metal rolled into a
Well,
racing
I was about
game.
to say, like, I don't know if they've confirmed it, but to me, because there's, we'll talk about that great interview where F-Zero has an influence that I absolutely did not see coming that you
Yeah.
showed me, where I'm like, that is the last movie I would have predicted to like define F-Zero. But I thought for sure it's like, oh, you can't talk about F-Zero without.
But it makes so much sense.
I know when you said it, I was like, oh, okay, but in my mind, it was like, oh, you can't talk about F-Zero without talking about Speed Racer and Death Race 2000, which are like, and if I were to give a quick like airplane summary, I would put those two together. It's like, okay, what if like fun, colorful racers and colorful cars, but also like actual danger? Which is, have you ever seen Death Race 2000?
I have not.
It's maybe of the ones I've seen, it's probably the best Roger Corman movie. It's basically like a countrywide race where anybody who's on the track can get killed. It's like one of those where it's like it's the future and the evil corporation has this horrific form of entertainment to keep the populace subdued. Uh, but unlike Rollerball, it's actually really good. Like Death Race 2000 fucking rips. If you ever get a chance to watch it, I really recommend it. And I do think that if you watch it, you'll be like, oh, this has to be where F-Zero comes from, right? But it's not, at least not in any interview that I could find.
That's true. So with that in mind, let's figure out where F-Zero does come from. We're going to start with the history of F-Zero leading up to F-Zero before we talk about the actual game. So before F-Zero, there was a game called Mach Rider. Nintendo has since made a lot of allusions and references, mostly in Smash Brothers, to Mach Rider. So it's probably a game most of you have heard of without actually being seen. But it was released in 1985, developed by HAL Labs. What we know as F-Zero would begin here from Nintendo. So it was a behind-the-car perspective, a futuristic setting, and a superhero-style looking main character. And whereas F-Zero is kind of like this futuristic, almost Star Trek-y style future, Mach Rider is very much like a Mad Max style future. Like on the ground, motorcycles attached with guns, and if I'm correct, it wasn't more of like a race. It was mostly just like get it from a point A to point B type of game.
I believe so. I don't think there were other racers, although, by the way, like you said, it's definitely Mad Max influenced. Death Race 2000 has to be somewhere in this DNA. I refuse to believe that no part of F-Zero comes from Death Race 2000. But I definitely will say, like, I see more of a Mad Max design in the literal, like, the Mach Rider is posed like Mad Max. Like, it's kind of blatant, actually, how much this is supposed to be calling to Mad Max.
Sawed-off shotgun in his hand, like, standing in front of his motorcycle. Yeah. But,
also, I think there's, like, a fan thing that, like, oh, what if Mach Rider is a woman, which is cool. But I don't think there's any basis for that other than wouldn't it be cool?
Wouldn't it be cool if, yes,
just want to throw that out there.
Female Mach Rider sounds kind of awesome, actually.
Oh, I think that's great. It's funny that I'm like, I don't think there's any basis for it. It's just that everyone thought it would be cool. And I'm like, I agree. Do it.
And next we have on the NES or the Famicom Grand Prix 1 and 2, this series of games. So Famicom Grand Prix 1 was a racing game with an overhead perspective, released exclusively in Japan. The sequel, Famicom Grand Prix 2 3D Hot Rally, shifted the perspective to behind the car, like in Mach Rider. What's interesting here is, for the box art for 3D Hot Rally, it's the first time Luigi is depicted as taller and thinner than Mario. This is the first time we've actually seen that put out.
Wow, is it really?
Yeah. Nintendo.
Interesting. I knew they were identical for a while. That's just such a weird place to put it.
it's always these weird side games that actually has bigger implication for the main Nintendo series. I think of like NES Golf of having like really modern like Mario designs on them versus what was otherwise depicted. Think of like Mario.
Well, yeah, it's also like yeah. I love how Waluigi has become such a presence in Mario lore, and he's from fucking Mario Tennis.
Yes,
because they needed Wario to have a partner. And Daisy is from Super Mario Land on the Game Boy, and she's been paired with Luigi since then. Yeah, obviously we can go on, but you're right. It is very funny that like things that would become like canon just show up in weird little outliers.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of like there's a lot of like connections between weird Mario series, like Paper Mario. All the Star Sages in that are the main like players in like Mario Party 5. There's a lot of like the Mario sub-series kind of connecting with each other in interesting ways. But so when it came time for if they were going to localize the game, as you remember, Nintendo of America was kind of like the gatekeepers at the time between what came out in Japan and what came out in America. This is how we ended up with instances like Super Mario Brothers 2 in America being different from Super Mario Brothers 2 in Japan.
Did you know that Super Mario Brothers 2 was originally a game in Japan called Doki Doki Panic?
This is the first time I am hearing about this.
Did you know this? Did you know this? Have you ever? I feel like it might be the single like most like did you know thing in video games. I'm trying to think of one that might be more, but that feels the most like, hey, did you know that Mario 2 is a completely different game in Japan? It's called Doki Doki Panic.
That's like the introduction fact that everybody has to learn before they go into the deeper realm of video game history and trivia. That's like the hurdle you have to get over. Once you learn that,
although I've been to but it's funny because you say that's the initial trivia, and then you go to like bar trivia, and they'll do video games, and it's like, who's Mario's brother? And you're like, no, I want to talk about Doki Doki Panic though. I want to show off what a fucking nerd I am.
All these people need to know that the Mario 2 they played is a lie.
Yeah. Do they not know that Mew was accidentally like put into the game and it defined Pokemon? No. As I'm like, escorted out of the bar.
Get better trivia.
Yeah.
So when it came time for 3D Hot Rally to make the localization jump, Nintendo of America passed on the game, saying that the cute art style would not sell well to Americans. So this is where our main hero is introduced, Kazenobu Shimizu.
Can I just say that takes? I love that Nintendo has done that forever, though, man. Because I think of Mean Kirby or Angry Kirby.
Yes.
This is another obvious trivia thing, but if you don't know, in Japan, on all the Kirby game box arts, he's like smiling, and in America, he's always fucking pissed.
Yeah, so they were worried. They're like, we can't have Mario with angry eyes in a race car. This will not sell well to Americans. So it was scrapped. So Kazenobu Shimizu, the game's director, took this personally, as we'll see. Here's a direct quote. He said, they were like, this isn't a racing game. Racing cars should be cooler. Then they even said it wouldn't sell well, and that ticked me off.
In fairness, they were probably right about the cars looking cooler.
You're probably right, but I don't know. I like the cute cars in 3D Hot Rally. A game I never played, but saw some screenshots of. There was actually... I remember hearing about that game in trophies for Smash Bros. Melee, because they had this... the Mario and Luigi's car in that game as a trophy.
Huh.
And I remember being like, what's this weird racing game? And it says, and they never gave any more information on anything released outside Japan except parentheses, Japan only. You're like, what's the history?
I loved when it said Japan only. You were like, what the hell is this? I need to know now.
Where you're like, oh yeah, Wario appears as a villain. Wario appears as a villain in this. And you're like, wait, what?
I know, Michael, I'm so glad you popped, like, the exact same example popped into your head. I'm like, what is this Mario Wario bucket game?
Yes!
I need to know this.
And your mind always goes, like, the craziest thing. It's like, they're gonna, like, fight on a volcano or something? Or it's always being, like, this most, like, tame puzzle game or something. But...
Yeah, and there would be, like, a game called Devil World, and you were like, Japan only, like, what the fuck is going on in Devil World?
Or the other one being Top Secret. And you're like, what is this?
Oh, that was... Which I did not understand till way later. Like, way later I found out the truth behind that one.
Mm-hmm. So this is what we're getting to. So while Shimizu was in America to pitch 3D Mock Rider to Nintendo of America, and they passed on it, he went to go see a movie. Shimizu saw Batman 1989 and got some ideas. He grabbed some comic books before heading back to Japan.
Okay, I simply refuse to believe that Death Race 2000 has no influence on F-Zero. Having said that, this is another thing that gets kind of not entirely memory hold. I think people will talk about it, but like when we talk about modern movie marketing now, or really any movie marketing after Star Wars was such a huge hit, Batman 89 sometimes gets lost in the shuffle, and it's hard to describe how big the marketing push for that movie was and how at the time successful it was. Like, it broke every fucking box office record. Everybody saw that movie. The marketing was absolutely insane. I think at the time, I wouldn't quote me on this, but at the time it was like more than like Star Wars marketing. Just absolutely massive. So, admittedly,
the soundtrack for that movie was a huge hit because he had Prince on it.
Yes, you did have the Prince music. Only later would they realize that they should make a bizarre video with Seal instead for Batman Forever. But I love that fucking video. So it does make sense that they saw Batman and got some ideas. It's just very funny to me that is where so much of F-Zero's aesthetic comes from.
You got the like high contrast superhero aesthetic. You got the cool looking car with the jet booster on the back. It all makes sense that
yeah. Oh, and I remember he said it was the
Batman 89 would be.
Yeah, it was the semi like weird future aesthetic, right? Which is admittedly one of the great things about that movie is that it's like a retro future thing.
Yeah, for sure. How it, especially I imagine like coming from Japan to seeing a movie that looked like that was probably like, oh man, this is what Americans want and are after. So he's like, I'm gonna make a game to specifically cater to their stupid interests out of pure spite. Which the best things come out of making something purely out of spite.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, well, I don't know about that. I feel like we could probably find some examples of things not going well that were made purely out of spite, but sometimes it does happen. Frickin' okay, very off topic, but just real quick, I saw Killers of the Flower Moon yesterday, the new Scorsese movie, and famously, Scorsese made his first huge hit, Mean Streets, after he made Boxcar Bertha, showed it to John Cassavetes, and Cassavetes was like, Marty, you spent a year of your life making a piece of shit. Why don't you make something that like you actually care about? And then he made Mean Streets, which is like a phenomenal movie. So sometimes it works out very well. Sometimes, though, I feel like it does not.
So when when Shimizu came back to Japan, Yasunari Nishida was working with Mode 7 on the Super Nintendo when the Super Nintendo was in development. So Mode 7 is one of the named after a graphical mode on the Super Nintendo. There were 8 graphical modes, each given a number 0 through 7. And Mode 7 allowed for scaling and rotating backgrounds, which could create the illusion of a 3D space. And Shimizu, having just come back from America, thought that Nishida's experiments could make for an excellent racing game that would, quote-unquote, shock everyone.
For a moment, you had a pause when you were about to say how many modes there are, and I was like, is he going to trip up and say there were only 7 modes? Because actually there were 8 modes, because there's Mode 0.
Mode 0.
But you fucking got it, man. You let me think. You hustled me. You let me think that you weren't going to call it 8 modes, but it is, in fact, 8 modes. You're right.
I almost tripped up, but then I remembered Mode 0. I have a note here.
Yep. People forget that there's Mode 0, which I think, back in the console wars of the 90s, obviously blast processing is the most famous thing to come out of that. It's funny that is total bullshit, but Mode 7, which also sounds cool, is technically, like, that is a real thing. Like, blast processing was just complete marketing horseshit, basically. But Mode 7 was like, no, there literally is a thing called Mode 7, and it does let you do stuff with the graphics that, like, other consoles wouldn't do at the time.
Say what you want about Nintendo, but they always was able to back up their marketing gimmicks with their technology. Whether it be Mode 7, whether it be HD Rumble, or gyro scoped controllers, it always, like, sounded nice on a box, but it was also no, here's the technology we built for this.
Yeah, I mean, like Look, I turned the 3D off on my 3DS, but the 3D itself was impressive. It wasn't like just like shitty. It was impressive. The Wii controls were very basic, but it was still very impressive to have like a cheap motion control gaming console at the time. And the Wii U also exists, so like lots of good things all around. Um, I love my Wii U, but like fucking man, Nintendo Mode 7. I have had to have explained to me like I'm 5 on multiple occasions because I will admit I'm not I'm not good at code. Like I really did try to like learn how to code, and I fucking failed. And
It's
so when people talk about Mode 7, you might as well be describing like fucking magic spells or some shit, man.
the simplest way to explain it is just you have a background layer on a game. Now imagine like the background of a 2D platformer like Mario or something. Mode 7 allows for the ability to take that background layer and basically stretch and shape it however it sees fit. So the background of F-Zero is not like the background where we see the very simplistic like cityscape or anything. It's the ground, like the actual racetrack is the background layer. So, and that creates the illusion of 3D.
Right. I will say that I just did a refresh on how this all works.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, I gotta recommend Jeremy Parish's video on his Super Nintendo Works. That the first episode is about F-Zero, and he goes into really good detail about why Mode 7, in particular for 1991, was so revolutionary. Partly because he just showed a picture of like what a regular track looks like, and yeah, it's just flat. It's just a flat screen. It looks very boring if you were to just base everything off of this. But being able to completely reshape it and stretch it out makes it so much better. And it is funny. He notes that like one thing about F-Zero is that it does not have different elevations because of that limitation. Every track is the same elevation. It is flat.
Mm-hmm.
But also like the Mode 7 thing. In 1986, I believe Sega had Outrun, which was a massive, massive hit for them. Which arcade game, not a Genesis game, obviously. But Outrun, the thing is, the turns in Outrun are very simple because, you're from behind the car. That's your perspective. So you would either get top down. I'm stealing this point from him, by the way. I'm completely stealing this. But like, you basically had two types of racing games: either top down with complex tracks, or from behind the car, which was kind of more thrilling, but very simple tracks, like very simple turns. And F-Zero is where they said, "What if we did both? Like, what if we were able to have more interesting track designs, but we were still able to be from behind the car?"
Yeah. That's really interesting. But also how they were able to like make some more complicated car design is with this next point here. So they modeled the cars in a way that sort of resembled Hot Wheels being hot at the time, but they chose to make them hover to save on tech because having tires rotate and having all of those positions for the pixel alignment with the racetrack and everything, where you have cars like spin. There's bits in this game where the camera rotates. Having each of those angles combined with every angle that tires can be at was just way too much on the tech. Tracks would have to be dumbed down, a lot more simpler, so they decided to have the cars float as a way to save on the tech of the Super Nintendo.
Again, well, you were saying the best stuff happens out of spite. Famously, I think Orson Welles said like limitations, or is like the greatest enemy of an artist is the lack of limitations, something like that.
Yeah.
Because it does force you to get creative. And I mean, this is in Nintendo's own history. Famously, Mario's design comes from what they could like physically do, like knowing that his hair was going to be black and it was going to blend into the background. They gave him a red hat because when they originally had him like just wearing like a red jumpsuit, it didn't look right. So they gave him overall stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which then this stuff ends up defining everything that the series will be in the future. F-Zero essentially, it's a futuristic floating car racing game because they weren't sure how they could get the tires to twist on these tracks. Which I just think is so cool.
That is really cool how that all sort of... F-Zero's like personality and its like style came out of like design limitations, but also like its design feats. Combine that limitation with the Mode 7 and you got a really unique aesthetic and really unique design here. And setting the game in the future was also a smart way to get around some of those development hurdles, because if you set in the far future, your cars don't need tires and can hover. So now let's get into the setting of F-Zero, starting with the time period here. So F-Zero takes place in the year 2560, and intergalactic trade is booming. Billionaires got bored and decided to fund high-speed death races. Racing circuits were built 300 feet above the cities, and the early races resulted in several deaths, but was refined as racers gained more experience. And here's something. So I believe that is the lore, how F-Zero 99 fits into the lore. All these 99 racers on one track, that's where a bunch of people explode and everything. I imagine that's like the lore reason of why they shipped it from like having 100 racers on a track to scaling it down to less and less racers on the track.
I like that you're applying Kingdom Hearts logic to this, where it's like, no, even the spin-off has to have a lore justification for itself. It can't just be a spin-off of like a cute little gameplay thing. No, there has to be a story reason why this is occurring. But I love that a lot of what you're getting is from the instruction manual, which, not that any of that is even that crazy. I guess I just didn't expect the billionaires like wanted more violent entertainment stuff to come out of this. Once again, Death Race 2000. But like, I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at it right now. I love that there's apparently a quote, "Why not hold, on a galactic scale, some competition like the F1 races once held on Earth centuries ago?" And that is such a non-American thing to go to F1 and not like NASCAR. You know what I mean? Like, it is very, and I don't say this like in a derogatory way at all. Obviously, I think F1 is like much cooler, but it is just very funny that like somebody in the future would be like, let's do F1 again. And not like, let's do the Roman gladiator shit, which is usually what they do when they're like, we need future entertainment. What if we just did gladiators again? I like the idea that they said, what if we did races again? So we could just drink our basically just get fucking lit for like 3 hours and just watch a bunch of people drive fast.
In an alternate universe, F-Zero was modeled after NASCAR.
Hey, that's the spinoff we need to see.
Yes.
All right, I want Dale Earnhardt's F-Zero.
Absolutely. So let's get into some of the planets. So Mute City, the original name for Mute City was Mutant City and is the biggest city on the Federation planet. So because of that, it's like the hub for a lot of like business ventures and everything in this universe.
And I believe that when they do GP Legend, it gets retconned into being New York. Like they just built over and renamed New York, I believe.
So it's New York from Futurama, but they named it Mute City
It's
instead.
literally just the Futurama thing of New York. It literally, like, it's just the fucking exact same thing. I believe. We'll get there when we get to the GP Legend anime, but I think they say Mute City is just supposed to be New York.
We'll get there. Big Blue, the only note about Big Blue is that 99% of the planet is water. That's all they feel the need to mention here, besides like the magnetic fields on the track. But yeah, the planet itself, water, turns out.
It's called Big Blue. They're like, what fucking more do you need? How much more description? It's fucking Big Blue. Like, I'm not even kidding. I love that name. It's like, just says it all. Just Big Blue. Lots of water. Do you need anything else?
Sand Ocean is that it's a desert planet because every sci-fi needs a desert planet.
Yep.
We have
preferably with some giant skeletons. You gotta have like a big animal skeleton.
You need animal skeletons or sandworms or both if you want a sci-fi sand planet universe.
Yeah. And I think they skipped on sandworms, but they're like, get some fucking skeletons in there.
Next we have Deathwind. Interesting fact about Deathwind, it's the most peaceful place in the universe where fierce winds blow without respite. So better...
I love...
Yes.
That is so funny, and also when we get to the character bios, Pico, who is like the most violent racer, is from there. It says, so that is just another great little detail. I like to imagine it's because he'll just fucking kill anybody.
The other note about Deathwind is that it is a windy planet, lots of winds, but peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
To know about
Yeah.
silence is that it is a silent planet where not even a single noise can be heard, which is a lie.
Except for the classic F-Zero SNES. So that we got to get into the fact that like that you just hear that constantly. This game has amazing music and it is constantly being drowned by listener, if you like that sound, just F-Zero for Super Nintendo, that's the game for you.
Next is Whiteland. You think it would be a snow planet, but they specifically say it's covered in crystals and said to be the most romantic place in the universe.
Yeah, people getting horned up on Whiteland. I'm just trying to be your hype guy for all these planets. I'm just
yeah. Port Town is a harbor town. That is where Captain Falcon is from.
Well, I just want to say real quick that like, because you named 7 courses, they technically have 15. Well, first of all, there was one that was not covered in there, which I find interesting. Like one planet that, Firefield, which was straight up not mentioned. And I guess they wanted it to be a surprise, like, oh shit, you get to the end and it's basically hell. But like, you know, they only have that many planets, but they have a bunch of courses because it would be like Mute City 1, Mute City 2, Mute City 3. Like, they just keep the aesthetic. And it's sort of that Mario 64 thing where it's like, well, let's just keep, like, the world the same and change small stuff. Like, or the level, rather, not the world.
Yeah. This manual also erases Red Canyon from the lore.
Oh, you're right.
I like Red Canyon a lot.
Yeah.
And weird that they don't mention it here, but Red Canyon, really quick, is basically that's where Samurai Goro's from. It's basically a planet of like space pirates. So that's where they all hail from. But yeah, let's get into the racers. So Captain Falcon, he was originally designed to be the mascot for the Super Nintendo.
God, I wish. I really wish.
If only. He's a mysterious bounty hunter from Port Town, and he has the most balanced machine with the Blue Falcon. Next, we got Dr. Robert Stewart. He started racing after the death of his father, and his car, the Golden Fox, was made by Stewart's father, and it prioritizes acceleration. So it speeds up really quickly. But
I did not know the thing about the death of his father. They just throw these little lore details in there.
Yes, all the most interesting stuff about F-Zero is like hidden in like character bios in the manuals. It's crazy. Next is Pico. Yeah. He's from Deathwind. He's a racer and hitman. He's very aggressive, and his car, the Wild Goose, can withstand heavy damage. Next we have Samurai Goro, leader of a band of thieves. He possibly stole his machine. I love how it says his machine doesn't outline it one way or the other. He says his machine might have been stolen, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah. We can't check the fucking VIN number or whatever, so we're just making assumptions, and you know what they say about assuming, so no one's gonna really confront him about it.
And the Fire Stingray is the fastest machine, because of course the criminal has the fastest one.
Right. So, Michael, I gotta be honest. Pico is the fucking coolest. Pico is like the fucking coolest guy. He has that machine, looks sick. The name, the Wild Goose, perfect fucking like race car name. Just absolutely the Wild Goose. Fucking yes.
This man just looks sinister and angry.
Yeah. He is, and also it's like, we don't know, he's the only alien, but to me it is important that they had one of the racers be an alien. And so I love that. I do like, for the record, I do think Captain Falcon and the Blue Falcon also peak designs. I'm like, these both look fucking great. The Blue Falcon in particular. You want to talk Hot Wheels? It does kind of look like a Hot Wheel, but I mean that as a compliment. It really does. Sure. It's just like and I'm ambivalent about Dr. Stewart and Samurai Goro, but like I love Pico and I love Captain Falcon and both of their machines.
The F-Zero instruction book also comes with a comic. In the comic, Captain Falcon's robot tells them to get ready for the race, but he's got a bounty hunt first. He also arrests the Kingpin. So I was like,
Michael, I was like, are we going to talk about how this guy is just Wilson Fisk?
Yes, we are.
He just is, yeah.
And then he goes to the race in time. So I was like, did this man just travel 2 planets and arrest 2 dudes in the span of 10 minutes? Very efficient bounty hunter, Captain Falcon.
He's fast. Yeah. Also worth noting, by the way, that this F-Zero announcer, has been brought back in both F-Zero GX and in F-Zero 99.
I love it so much.
Yeah, he's great. I love it. It's fucking like fun, futuristic like announcer man. Cool stuff.
So now let's talk about the actual game. F-Zero for the Super Nintendo.
Wait, hold on. You can't just skip over the last panel of the comic.
Oh yeah, the
start. The last page is just start, and everyone has a different line. Samurai Goro says, "This is no game. My butt is on the line." Captain Falcon says, "Now you'll learn how men do battle." Pico says, "I hate losing to any driver whose blood is red." And Dr. Stewart, who for some reason is wearing a Captain Falcon helmet in this scene, says, "I shall win to honor beautiful women everywhere."
To be continued.
I do not
push start.
I'm not a fan. Yeah. Whatever, Dr. Stu, get the fuck over yourself.
So, let's talk about now the game. We're now on to the game of F-Zero. What is your thoughts on F-Zero?
I have played this game so much. So, in some ways, when I boot up just like the first cup and just do it on novice, it's like fucking drinking water. It's just so easy, and I actually kind of mean relaxing almost. Like, it's just so... I know this course by heart, so I'm. It's hard for me to judge, especially for modern eyes. Here's what I think about F-Zero. I think it is an incredible showcase for the Super Nintendo. It is better than 90% of all tech demos. Like, this is what a tech demo should strive to be, which, to be clear, F-Zero was. It was like, can we demonstrate what you can do with Mode 7? I mean, famously, in Japan, the Super Nintendo launched with 2 games. This and Super Mario World. Because, like, this was going to have to carry it. And I enjoy the hell out of it. The things that bother me are that sound I was making earlier. That sound that is just constant. And this is not, there's not really much that could be done, but the lack of variety in the courses and the, like, small number of them, basically. I personally think, though, F-Zero is secretly, and I don't expect anyone to agree with me on this, it's one of the best Super Nintendo titles because of its simplicity.
I agree.
Oh, okay, cool.
100% with that. And pretty much everything that you said, how this game is basically a glorified tech demo, but it's the mechanics of how it plays and how it looks and how it sounds, everything just is a top-notch video game, and the fact that it was made to basically demonstrate the power of the Super Nintendo shows the strength as the Super Nintendo as a console, but also, like, this game and this idea.
Yeah, and it's kind of nuts to me just how much better it holds up than a lot of other racing games from that era. And it still looks great, by the way. It's funny that, like, obviously you see the seams. You see the Mode 7 seams. Like we said, the tracks have no elevation. There's only a few of them, and they have to use overall the same backgrounds. But when you see F-Zero in motion, it is undeniably impressive. Like, you get the sense of speed, which is something that I feel at the time was very difficult for a lot of those racing games to accomplish. You feel like you're going 400 kilometers per hour. And that is incredibly impressive, given again, 1991. It's 30 years ago.
It captures that sense of speed so well, and you made a good point saying that it's just like a joy to look at. This is definitely one of those games that exist for kiosk. Like when you're walking through a store, you see some, especially like 91, you see someone playing this and go, what is that?
Oh, 100%.
That just looks really cool. Like, you have to at least play it immediately.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where even if you like don't come away liking it or don't like racing games, it's something you, once you see, you're like, I have to check that out because that looks really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why, like, some local newscaster photoshopped himself into playing on one of those kiosks. Okay, so we got to talk about this real quick. I'm sorry, we have to talk about this.
We have to, yes.
Yeah, there was this video. It kind of like not viral, but it just got shown in certain circles back in '91 when the Super Nintendo launched. Famously, this was like the first major console transition at the time, and people were pretty pissed off that they had to buy a new video game console. And so a lot of local news stories were about that, and they were like, well, let's take a look at this new thing. And one fucking guy, like, this is such a great like local news. Do they have anything better to do type of thing where he like not photoshops but like edits himself driving like one of the F-Zero machines.
He
And by the
shrinks
way,
himself
doing an
down
absolute
into the car.
yes, that's what it is. He shrinks. Yeah, he shrinks himself down. The whole screen is the F-Zero, and he literally immediately starts going backwards and says, "Whoa, guess I should watch where I'm driving." And like over the next 20 seconds, does one of the shittiest jobs of playing a game on live television I've ever seen. And obviously, he wasn't fucking playing, but like eventually just crashes and explodes. But it
He's,
is so listener. If you just look up like F-Zero newscast, I swear to
you
God,
will
you'll
find it.
find it. It's
Yes.
so yeah, it's so dumb and goofy and like I think someone called him the first less player, which is very which is in my opinion true. Like
He
yeah, by the
says
way, I just
the
googled it. F-Zero newscast. There it is.
he says like the greatest thing ever, where it's like if you're a real expert at this game, someone who's like 6 or 7, you could probably do a lot better than I can.
I'm watching this right now. First of all, his name is Kent Shockneck. I hope he's doing well.
Hope you're doing well.
He's just going in reverse the entire time. The entire time. He's not like when you see him get in the machine, he is already turning to go backwards. Oh, he finally at the 20-second mark, he finally turns around. He goes over a fucking a ramp and explodes and dies. And that is on Sand Ocean, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite pieces of mainstream video game coverage, like pre-2000. Which is a very different time if you ever see clips. That is one of my favorite things to come out of all of that.
Where every single time someone brings up video games, it always starts with, video games have come a long way since Pac-Man.
Yeah, but that we still get those in the year 2023.
We still get those.
Still fucking like, yeah. Oh my god! Every time I see one of those, I just want to like fucking wring someone's fucking neck. I'm sorry. Wow. Also, can I just say that this guy, I googled Kent Shockneck real quick. He seems to be like after this, he seemed to just be playing newscasters in or Anchorman whatever in like TV and movies.
Good
He
for
is
him.
in Anchorman. Yeah, he is in Anchorman. He's also in Triple X State of the Union, which is the terrible Triple X sequel starring fucking what's his name? Oh my god, why am I forgetting? Ice Cube. He was in Righteous Gemstones. Like what the hell? Yeah, this guy had a great career as just newsman.
Get that money, Kent.
Yeah. This is great. Good for Kent. All right. Sorry I had to give the quick Kent Shockneck IMDb, but good to know he did pretty well after that embarrassing F-Zero performance.
So, going back to F-Zero this time, I actually think F-Zero 99 made me better at this game. For example, I never understood like the point of using the check arrows, despite the fact finding out like, okay, there's a guy behind me, but actually if you use the check arrows and line it up just right, when they bump into you, your rival, you can get a speed boost from them to propel yourself forward. I never thought to do something like that in this game. It's also weird that boost in this game and maximum velocity work completely different than boost in the rest of the series. Every lap, you gain one boost. And there are some races having like, especially in the later tracks, doing like tight corners and everything, is you don't want to use that boost except for like specific jumps or long stretches because it'll immediately backfire if you hit a corner, because then you're activating tilt mode in a pinball game and just bouncing off walls, hit a wall a certain way.
Yeah, I think part of the fun with the boost is that like an inexperienced player, when they fuck up, will immediately use the boost and immediately like start bouncing off walls. And I think the system for boost would be better. Which, by the way, I want to note that like the boost system is all over the place. Because think about this, Michael. F-Zero and F-Zero Maximum Velocity have the same boost system, right? F-Zero X and F-Zero GX have the same boost system. GP Legend does a weird play on the F-Zero X and GX system. And then F-Zero 99 technically does the X and GX system, but it lets you start with the boost immediately. Like the boosting systems in this franchise are somewhat inconsistent.
And we'll kind of touch on each one as we go.
Yeah, but also with this game, I'm sorry to do the Death Race 2000 thing again, but one thing that always bugged me, like from the moment I played it, because again, my first was F-Zero GX and also F-Zero GP Legend, and I would be playing F-Zero for the first time, and I was like, what the fuck are these other cars doing here? They're like clearly not in the race, are they? Like I thought that like this was just like a highway, and these were people like in their fucking commute going to work.
And there's a breath race happening.
Yes. Like, I was very confused about that. Also, there's just cars that are bombs. You know, there's literally just, like, cars that are flashing, and if you hit one, it just completely explodes. Also, I don't think... I think in F-Zero, there's no way to kill your opponents, and X was where you were allowed to do that. I don't know if the spin-offs before X allowed you to do that.
Yeah, come to think of it, I don't remember any of the rivals exploding. So that's really interesting. I never actually considered that. So, what are your yeah.
But like well, I just wanted to say, I mean, maybe this is what you're moving into, but like F-Zero also, as is typical of the time, not typical of the time, but like it has an amazing soundtrack. Obviously,
for
it is
sure.
running off of the Super Nintendo's chips, which for the record were better than the Sega Genesis. That was a point of pride for Nintendo. But like, even so, you know, obviously it's like chip-tuned stuff. The compositions are amazing. Big Blue has stuck around for a reason. Big Blue's theme is fantastic. And I think Mute City is also like, I think you're gonna start on Mute City, and I know this sounds weird. It is a perfect first track soundtrack. It just gets you hyped up. Whereas like, which actually I think also, I mean, forgive me if I'm moving into like talking about certain songs in this game or certain music tracks, but like, there's some that really fit. Like, I love Silence. Silence is the final track of the first Grand Prix, and it feels like a finale song, which is so unique because I don't even think the other two final tracks in their respective cups fill that void. Silence has a great, like, it feels like it's been like a long journey. That's what Silence makes me feel like, even though it has only been like 5 races.
Mm-hmm. So Silence and Big Blue are your favorite songs in this game?
Yes, however, I will say that Deathwind's the Deathwind music contributes to maybe Deathwind being like the best vibe of a track, because it's just like the gimmick, the visuals, the music all come together on Deathwind. I love it. But yeah, I would say the best actual songs for me are Silence and Big Blue.
Best songs for me go Big Blue, of course, and Whiteland. I really like Whiteland's theme.
Whiteland's really good. I don't want to shit on Whiteland.
Yeah, and I actually love Whiteland's like aesthetic too. I like the white and the purple. Just something about that color combo just looks beautiful to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been talking about. I overuse the word aesthetics, but like a lot of these tracks just look really neat. They look really good, even with all the faults. And I especially like
Mute City 2.
Oh yeah, Mute City 2 fucking
Sunset
rules.
Looks especially beautiful.
Yeah, and I always felt like, yeah, that's why I like Deathwind. It just feels like an alien planet. It really does convey like racing on a deadly alien planet, which is something that, like, I love Mute City. Mute City doesn't do that though.
What are your favorite tracks in this game from like a gameplay, from a sex perspective? What are your favorite tracks?
I think Deathwind 1, because I do think Deathwind 2 has like a really bullshit sharp turn.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only problem I really have with Deathwind 2. Deathwind 1, I think, is just a perfect vibe, and I know that it's obviously literally the most simple track. It is literally an oval, but I think it allows you to focus again on like the actual gimmick of the stage, and I think that is just a fun gimmick. It's just, okay, you've done the regular races, now you have something where something is moving your car. And so Deathwind 1 is one of my favorites. I like all the Mute Cities. And Big Blue might just be like the perfect track. I really like the design of Big Blue.
Oh, I love Big Blue.
I think Whiteland 2 is funny because it is a big, like, it's a big test of if you know that you can extend your jump height by holding down the D-pad. Because if you don't know that, you quite literally cannot beat Whiteland 2.
Yes. It's very similar to the thing in Sonic 3 in the carnival level, where if you don't know you can hit down to activate this elevator, you're going to be stuck.
Yeah. Or Super Metroid, where it's like, there's a point everyone gets tripped up when they first play Super Metroid, not knowing that Samus can sprint, because this platform is collapsing as you're trying to walk over it. And it's like, oh, do I need a power up? It's like, no, you literally just need to hold like the X button or whatever it is and just sprint. And you don't need a power up for that. Yeah, there's always a test like that. Whereas now, Kratos would tell you like you need to hit this thing and you need to hit this thing. Back in the old days, we just figured out how to do it like men. We didn't need no tutorial, no Navi.
We never thought to
I don't
look
know
it
what
up
that
online.
character is. No, I mean it's not like they had strategy guides just for this exact purpose or anything.
Yeah. So my favorite tracks are Big Blue, Red Canyon 2, White Land 2, and Sand
I
Ocean.
don't love Sand Ocean, interestingly. I don't know
really
why.
like Sand Ocean.
Yeah, but I do like Red Canyon. I'm gonna give.
I don't know why I like it so much.
Yeah. I gotta give you Red Canyon. You're right. It's funny that that's not mentioned in the instruction manual because that's one of the cooler tracks.
Mm-hmm. My least favorite track is Deathwind 2.
Okay, so we agree. Like, yeah, everything I like about Deathwind 1, I just feel like Deathwind 2, this is where the gimmick doesn't work as well because it's a real track.
It's too complicated of a track to warrant the wind blowing your cart around. It's not fun.
I think so, yeah. I think it needed to be less, yeah. So, you didn't mention, how do you feel about Firefield?
I like Firefield. As a true test of the game's mechanics, it's like the closest this game has to a final boss is navigating this track because it throws every possible type of hazard at you. It's an endurance test. That track goes on for about 4 minutes, but I really like Firefield.
I do too, actually. I'm glad to hear you say it because, yeah, Firefield, I think when you're doing a racing game like this, yeah, obviously the final track needs to be the hardest. And Mario Kart, I want to say that I feel like Mario Kart 64 really fucked up the reputation of Rainbow Road forever. Because that game's version of Rainbow Road is just long. It is just a long grind. Whereas I think later Rainbow Roads, and I just think this applies to Firefield as well, when you just do like the same length of a regular track but just a shitload of obstacles, I just think that is the final boss version for a racing game.
It extends the length of the track, but like not overwhelmingly. So it's a 4-minute track, but it's so intense and there's so many hazards and it constantly keeps you engaged. Mm-hmm. It's never a slog that something like Rainbow Road 64 can end up being.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's our thoughts on the first F-Zero. Any more things you want to say before we move on? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, what's your favorite machine to use?
Oh, I forgot that was something on here. Fire Stingray is the objective right choice for F-Zero 1.
Here's the thing. I know that you're correct. I fucking hate driving that thing. I don't like it. So I drive the Wild Goose.
No, the Wild Goose is also good. No one likes the Golden Fox.
The Golden Fox. I don't... Actually, I was going to make some joke, but I genuinely have just never cared for that in any F-Zero game.
Yeah.
Even 99, I tried it for like 2 races. I'm like, nope, still hate this one.
It gives you your... And not to talk about 99 too much, but I imagine it carries over to this game as well. It does give you your life meter back a lot, but in F-Zero 1, the life meter is, except for a few tracks, sort of like a non-factor. Like, it's not as much as like a something you're constantly watching, like in other F-Zero games.
Right, and again, this will come up as we discuss F-Zero X, but like tying the boost to the health meter completely changes that game, whereas this, yeah, the life meter is a separate thing from boost. That is something that we're about to get into with X in a little bit, but for this game, you're right, the life meter stuff doesn't matter as much because it's basically treated separately from the boost function.
Mm-hmm. So we talked about how good the music for this game is. So good, in fact, that in March 1992, Yoshio Maki produced a F-Zero jazz record. And all the songs slap here.
They need to go back to doing this kind of shit. We need to go back to, like... I mean, I guess we kind of do, but, like... I don't know. You hear about stuff in Japan that was produced to, like, tie into some of these games, where you're just like, why didn't we get any of this? This is so stupid, it sounds fun.
As someone who had Killer Instinct as a kid, I rocked out to those Killer Tracks album that came with that game. Killer Cuts, that's what it's called.
I want, like, the King of Fighters audio dramas that they were doing over the radio in the 90s. Like, that's the kind of shit that I wish they had brought over here.
Wait, what? I never heard about this.
Yeah. Oh, this is an entirely different fucking topic, but, like... Look, I did a lot of research for King of Fighters for a project that never went off the ground, but man, just some of like when King of Fighters was at his peak in the 90s, the multimedia stuff they did, specifically like visual novels and audio dramas, man, they were really pushing those characters because that was some early like Tumblr-esque shipping and stuff like that.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Anyway, that's all I got to say.
So now, because F-Zero was a hit, the people at Nintendo looked into creating a sequel. So a sequel to F-Zero was in early development, but what was there was shifted to a separate project. And this is where I need to talk about something called the Satellaview. So what is the Satellaview anyway? The Satellaview is a satellite modem peripheral produced by Nintendo for the Super Famicom in 1995, containing 1 megabyte of ROM space, and an additional, adding on to the Super Nintendo, 512 kilobytes of RAM. This was a project developed by R&D 2. It was a mail order exclusive. You had to sign in and get it through the mail. You download games through satellite broadcast, but in the US, we had something similar to this with something called the Sega Channel, which allowed you to download games over your cable box.
Whenever you read about, like the early attempts to try to do like downloadable games or streaming games, and everything is running through cable, you're just like, what a fucking horrific nightmare to imagine. Like, this is shit that like H.P. Lovecraft could never.
So F-Zero got 2 like pseudo sequels, not even sequels, more like expansions. BS F-Zero 1 was released as multiple broadcasts because this was like a satellite based thing. It was all through program times. So certain games would not be available all the time, just available at certain times. Like tuning into a TV show, you would tune into your favorite game.
What if we just made gaming worse? Again, there's certain points where you just, and this still happens, by the way, like where you just hear something and it's like, did they in a boardroom say, what if we made it worse?
It's so like, complicated.
What if everything just sucked a little more?
I'm gonna talk about the Satellaview interface because oh my god. So F-Zero 1 was BS F-Zero, BS the shorthand for the Satellaview. F-Zero Grand Prix 1 was multiple broadcasts, allowing people to download the latest cup for a limited time. BS F-Zero 2 was one new cup that did not have a time window. As a result, this version was easier to preserve. Now, I have emulated the Satellaview to play F-Zero Grand Prix 2. And when you boot it up, the Satellaview, you are basically greeted to what looks like Face from Nick Jr. back in the day, and all Japanese text trying to navigate this thing, telling you what to do. And I went out to the main menu. The main menu is a town from like an RPG like Earthbound, which you walk around in to get to the different centers. Like you go to the broadcast center to tune into broadcast. Like you go to your TV station. You can go to like, I guess, friends' houses. I don't know. I was trying to figure out what these were. Some of it was in English. So I was able to like parse some things around. So the menu for this thing is like a little Earthbound RPG town to walk around in. It's wild that this came out in 95.
It sounds like 10 years later when Sony people were trying to figure out how to make PlayStation Home work. They were like, that's it. We're gonna build the PlayStation Home based on like the Satellaview thing, and everyone will love it. Everyone will love waiting in line and having to walk around physically within the game space.
It's wild. It's incredibly dumb. So I figured out what I needed to do is because I was playing like a ROM of BS2, BS F-Zero 2, I went back to my home and talked to the TV, the face figure I saw before, and I went to, it was like saved broadcast, and that's where it was. These aren't games, they're considered broadcasts, and that's where I was able to play BS F-Zero Grand Prix 2. And it is super cool. This is like a DLC campaign for F-Zero with some really awesome tracks, including, I have the entire list of tracks here. This is the Ace Cup. So this literally sounds like a DLC cup. It's like, we went all the way to King, now here's Ace. We got all of these are remixes of other tracks. So we got mute right away. When you see the machines, and the machines have more like an even more future like aesthetic going on. These are like bulkier machines. They look like rocket ships almost versus actual cars.
I really like those designs. I saw a screenshot. I'm like, these actually look cool though.
Mm-hmm. That the yellow one and the Stingray are a little bit too bulky and ugly, but the Falcon one, the Blue Falcon equivalent, is super cool looking. I love it so much. So right away, we got Mute City 4 as the first track. That made my jaw drop immediately seeing Mute City 4. I'm like, what? We get more Mute City? But
I think that's actually... Your description of DLC or a DLC campaign, I think, is pretty accurate based on how you're describing it, at least. But that actually sounds neat. I hate that it was delivered in this fucking shitty system.
It is worth seeking out. If you can figure out... If I could figure this out, it should be easy for most people to emulate this thing. But BS F-Zero Grand Prix 2 is actually really cool and has some really cool tracks. Because in the second one you get is Big Blue 2.
Which, yeah, that doesn't exist. Like, we just talked about how Big Blue is amazing, and there is no sequel track within the first game.
Then we got a track called, not Sandocean, but Sandstorm 1. Then we got...
Okay, so they did do, like, a new track.
Yeah. Then we got Silence 2, which was cool because that didn't have a sequel equivalent in the first game. And then Sandstorm 2, with the sequel to Sandstorm that was introduced on this track. But... the music for it was Deathwind.
Oh shit! Really?
I was like, "Oh no!"
I love Deathwind's music. Yeah, that's not a good start.
I was like, "Oh no, this is gonna be bad." So it's sort of, if I remember correctly, it's been a few weeks since I played this. I think Sandstorm 2 specifically was like a Sandocean style track with like the wind blowing, like being in a sandstorm. So
makes sense. Like,
my note here is,
again, they weren't creating super new assets except for like those vehicles, right? Like, it's basically all recycled stuff.
Not real. There is sort of... there's jump pads in this, like, for alternate shortcuts. So there's points where you can jump off of the track and jump on, like, a trampoline pad and use boost to launch yourself back onto the track.
Okay, that is new. Really?
Yeah, there's some new mechanics in here.
I gotta play this.
This is really cool. Everyone should seek out BS F-Zero Grand Prix 2 if you're a fan of the original Super Nintendo, because this is just a DLC add-on Grand Prix, and you'll be as giddy as I am when you see F-Zero 4 on the screen.
Yeah, Nintendo, put this shit on, like, Switch Online. Like,
these are the
fucking
tracks
put the Satellaview shit on there.
These are the tracks I was hoping for with F-Zero 99. I was like, man, I hope we get some of the Satellaview tracks, because they are kind of nuts.
That would be pretty sick. Yeah.
We also got another canceled F-Zero project here called Zero Racers or G-Zero, depending on which article you looked at. I think they went by both names. It may have been a Japan-America situation, but this was a canceled Virtual Boy game.
Wait, why was it canceled?
It was because the Virtual Boy, if you don't know, listener, was a 3D portable, quote-unquote, game console by Nintendo that... would strain your eyes because of the red and black only color aesthetic and 3D visuals via a virtual reality screen.
My favorite detail about the Virtual Boy is it was also heavy specifically. It was a very heavy thing. It's like, well, why is it so heavy? Well, they had to have like a big like lead-lined thing or whatever to prevent the fucking screen from like damaging your brain. It's like, wow, this is a good system. Everything about this screams fucking quality.
So G-Zeros was previewed in Nintendo Power in July 1996 for a fall release. And it's basically F-Zero with a Z-axis. You can move up and down in this space.
I mean, like I said, that was sort of the big thing with F-Zero. Just F-Zero for the Super Nintendo. The tracks were very flat, even if you could jump with like jump pads or whatever.
They do make a reference to the G-Zero Cup in, I believe it's like a Star Fox game or something. I remember seeing Star Fox characters making reference to a G-Zero Cup.
Okay, so Star Fox Command is probably the most bizarre entry in Star Fox, and it has multiple endings. None of which are really canon, because nothing has taken place after. It's only been, like, reboots and remakes. But one of the endings, I think, like, Fox's girlfriend, Crystal, leaves him. And Fox goes to a bar because he's all depressed, and he and Falco are drinking at a bar. And Falco's like, well, instead of being this fucking like these mercenaries saving the galaxy, why don't we just fucking get rich? And so they convert their R-Wings into G0 machines that compete in the G0 Grand Prix. Now, we're not there yet, but with F-Zero X, we'll get a character named James McLeod. These games have a special relationship. They reference each other all the time.
Yes.
Actually, while I'm on the subject, Star Fox Command, one of the bosses in that game for the Angler Empire, which is like a fish alien empire, is just straight up Octoman from F-Zero. Like,
awesome.
It's not even like they try. He's literally just Octoman.
I love it when properties reference each other constantly, much like Daredevil and Ninja Turtles.
Oh, you mean like that? I was about to say, like, what are you, Michael, a board member at Disney? Like, what if we got every property to reference each other?
No.
We'd make infinite money. You were like, put Nicolas Cage as Superman in The Flash. Everyone's going to love this.
Especially Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Resurrect Christopher Reeves' fucking corpse.
Oh,
Put his ass in the movie. He can't say shit about it. I know. What an evil movie. Just an evil fucking movie.
So G0 was very much in the mold of F-Zero. 4 racers, 15 tracks, and 3 cups. It was canceled, and there is no prototype out there out in the wild for us to like emulate or like look at or see video of. So we have to go by like old Nintendo Power listings for this.
Yeah, I mean, like they weren't really hyping. I would love to read the articles about the Virtual Boy, like when it's first revealed and stuff, because that has to be like so much hope and promise. Although it was always like, you could do a fucking whole dissertation. I have a book about the Virtual Boy. Like, the Virtual Boy was just such a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of wonder, like, what they were thinking in terms of which audience was this going for. Because, again, was it supposed to be a successor to the Game Boy? Well, not really. So is it like a home console, like the next? Well, not really. I don't know. I just find the whole thing like...
This feels like an R&D experiment that should never have made it to the shelves.
I think... I might be misquoting. I think the creator, Gunpei Yokoi, who also created the Game Boy, like, people were shitting on him because his last big creation was the Virtual Boy. Fuck that. He was like one of Nintendo's best people. But I believe he or somebody else described the Virtual Boy development process as the frog boiling metaphor, where, if you stick a frog in a pot of water and you slowly increase the heat, the frog will not jump out and it'll die because you've increased it to boiling water and the frog's just dead. Versus, like, if you drop the frog in boiling water, it'll hop right out because it knows it's in danger. They described, like, the development of Virtual Boy as, like, yeah, if we knew all that stuff at the end, we would have seen, but, like, at the time, it just felt like you were turning up the heat a little bit. And we didn't realize that, like, by the end, oh my god, it's such a disaster. Anyway, I might be misquoting that, but I feel like I'm not.
That seems like an apt comparison for something like tragically in development like that.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're moving on to the next system. Post Super Nintendo, Nintendo released the Nintendo 64. And this was very much my, like, one of my favorite childhood systems growing up.
So here's the thing I need to say. I already said it. I did not play this when I had an N64. I was Mario Kart 64 and Diddy Kong Racing exclusively. And so I only played it when it came to the Wii Virtual Console.
Mm-hmm.
But this was 97, I believe. So this is the year after the 64 launches.
This was 98 when F-Zero X drops.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it's 98. So this is 2 years later. And the Nintendo 64 at this point already had to be, like, considered a disaster, right? I know that you and I love it, right? Like, I know it's nostalgic for us. Mm-hmm. It was really bad for Nintendo at the time.
It's the third console curse.
I never realized it was called that, but you're right, it's the third console curse.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, everything, again, like with the Virtual Boy, there's like a whole fucking dissertation about what went wrong with the N64. Obviously, it's not as bad as Virtual Boy. A lot of great games came out for it. We clearly enjoyed it. It was like the multiplayer console, which F-Zero X kind of feeds into, but, it's not a huge success.
It's forward-thinking and backwards-thinking at the same time. Like, we're going to put 4 controller ports on this thing. Awesome. We're sticking with 64 megabyte cartridges. What are you doing?
Yeah, man. I mean, you can read all about the war between Square and Nintendo at that time with, Square basically leaving for PlayStation, where they were, like, we've liked you as a partner. We want to keep working with you, but these things are shit. Like this is not where technology is going to go.
Nintendo losing it's the story with a lot of Nintendo's failures. They lose out on their third-party support. All their stuff that was crucial to like the Super Nintendo, like the whole RPG market of Square and Enix moving over to PlayStation. You have stuff like 2D Castlevania moving to the PlayStation. It's a tale of like everyone leaves the Nintendo 64, but the people who stuck around with the Nintendo 64 made some absolute bangers and classics.
Oh yeah. But F-Zero X, man, like how? Okay, if you don't mind, just before we get into development history, all that, how do you feel about F-Zero X in the F-Zero series?
Like, how do I feel about this game in particular?
Yes, kind of like, and where it fits within the series. Like,
this is one of my favorite games in the series. I love F-Zero X. Love this game.
So I think I'm not as positive as I used to be.
Oh,
I do think that like, no, I do still quite like this game, but there's just some stuff that I don't know. It's not bad. It's actually, well, okay, but to be clear, I don't want to sound that negative. It's still a very good game, but I don't love it like I used to, and it feels like almost like a weird placeholder when I think the first is such an important part of obviously the series because it's the first, but also just an important part of the Super Nintendo. And I feel like F-Zero X is where F-Zero is just kind of there, but not really like doing anything for whatever platform it's on. That's kind of how I feel about F-Zero X. But I will say that it added a lot of what I would love about the franchise, specifically the characters. That it was going to add a lot of characters to give them all lore, and you're going to have a ton of machines, and they're going to look super fucking cool. It also, finally, this was the game where it set the rock aesthetic. I have in my notes, like, when you boot up this game, because when you boot up this game, I forgot that it just begins with a sick guitar riff over, like, the N64 logo.
Yes. Uh-huh. That guitar riff is burned into my brain. I love it so much.
It's a sick guitar riff. You press start, and immediately you get, like, 7, like, big booby models with, like, holding up the signs for, like, the game modes. And I'm like, okay, this was the vibe they were going for. I see. You act like I'm crazy. You're
right. You're right.
I'm not saying that's good. I'm just like, I forgot about that when I went to replay it. I'm like, oh yeah, they were going for like almost like a sleazy vibe, which is kind of fun. And actually, okay, now I'm going to get more complimentary.
Which fits the vibe of like...
No, I think I love the art in particular. Like just I don't mean like the 3D political noir. I mean like the 2D like drawn art for all the characters looks fucking great.
It's so good. It's tragic that the F-Zero X box art still looks cool in North America. Like you have like it very much focuses on the like hard polygon shape of the vehicles charging at you. But if you look at the Japan box art for F-Zero X, it looks like a freaking movie poster. You have the cars charging to you at the bottom, but then you have like the floating head poster of all the racers. And there's lightning. It is so badass.
Yo, this looks sick.
Right?
This is so good. What the fuck? Why didn't we get this?
Right?
This looks great. God, you've got Mighty Gazelle just lording over fucking everybody. This is awesome.
Yes. It's amazing.
This is the much better cover. And it's wild that it looks like the bottom half of it is just the US cover. They were like, well, we can only fit half the cover onto this fucking box. They were like, well, definitely the fucking bottom half then.
They're like, we don't want to... I think it's because the box arts for Japan a lot of times were up and down like cardboard cases, like they versus in America they were like landscape. So I guess they couldn't find a way to make that box art work. But I was like, you focused on the wrong part of this cover.
Yeah,
I get
for
from
real.
a marketing perspective, you need to know it's a racing game. And if you just looked at this, you're like, what is this? Like crazy superhero game.
Yeah.
I get it, but how dare you?
You're right. I get it too. I would be in the marketing room and I'd be like, it's a game about fucking racing. Put the goddamn cars on the box. But like,
I'd be like,
Yeah,
special box,
that other
we're going
cover looks
portrait.
better.
We're going portrait for this game,
Yeah.
and only this game.
Yep.
It'll make
like,
the
sir, that'll cost so much fucking money, and the Nintendo 64 is bleeding it, and I'd be like, I don't care, we got Pokemon on the horizon. This thing's gonna be big. We're gonna make it. We're gonna use that money.
Yeah, I love how they lean into like the comic book aesthetic and the menus and everything too. Right on like the push start screen, there's a vroom like onomatopoeia just going across the bottom of the screen. You have all the racers in that cool comic book art. Just the aesthetic of F-Zero X, from like the music, the menus, everything. Well, it has to be, because we'll talk about the history of why that stuff needs to be so strong. So
yeah, almost has the Shadow the Hedgehog. Every time you select an option in the menu, it's like a gunshot. It's not a gunshot,
it's like
but it is just like, yeah, it's just so in your face.
Yes. So F-Zero X was like a premier big first party game for Nintendo, which it's not usually in terms of F-Zero, but Tadashi Sugiyama of Mario Kart was assigned as director for the new game with Shigeru Miyamoto. So F-Zero X was a Miyamoto joint with the head of Mario Kart coming together to make this thing. So this was a big first-party Nintendo game. In fact, they got programmers from Wave Race 64 assigned to the project, and this game would be developed in-house at Nintendo EAD.
Which, you know what's kind of funny is I always thought, like, I thought for sure this had to be developed by not EAD, because they have a character named Mr. EAD, who is clearly, like, a joke, shitty version of Mario.
Yes.
And then finding out, like, no, this was developed by the EAD team. Like, they were, like, shitting on themselves, or at least their own character.
So Nintendo EAD is like the mainline Nintendo team. They are like the gold standard, especially at the time, for what Nintendo was working on. Would you agree? Yeah. So
I would, except I would also say, like, EAD gets all the credit, and meanwhile R&D1 is just putting out some of the most important games in Nintendo's history, with basically like the entire Metroid and Wario franchises.
Yes. And
I just want to shout out R&D1.
Yeah. And R&D2 being like the technical marvel. So like, what if we just do this crazy tech?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Satellaview and stuff like that. So a lot of heroes at the top a lot of heroes for Nintendo development in those three departments. But right away, it was decided 60 frames per second being a priority.
Mm-hmm.
Although technical sacrifices had to be made to achieve it, because let's face it, Nintendo 64, not the most powerful console, even though it was boasting 64-bit. The cartridge space limitation really held it back. So in order to get that 60 FPS, we had to do a lower polygonal count, simple backgrounds, fog, that N64 fog, lower texture detail.
Yeah.
But this was the right call.
I mean, just like, I played it again last night. You know, I played it again last night for this, and I already knew it going in, but when I booted it up, I'm like, oh god, I forgot that, like, from far away, these machines look like shit. Like, they do not look good.
This is an ugly game.
It is ugly. There is, like, I actually think one thing to its benefit is that there is nothing going on in the backgrounds, and it's like, well, thank god, because you're going too fast to, like, pay attention to them. But there is, like, next to nothing happening in these backgrounds still.
We can't talk about planet aesthetics in this game because it's just yellow or orange or red.
A lot of yellow. There's a lot of yellow in particular. And, like, you know, again, I don't want to shit on it, because now I am realizing I do like it more than maybe I had originally implied. But it is not a good-looking game. They sacrificed the like graphical fidelity for that 60 frames, and I think that was the right choice.
It's
given what the hardware was capable of. It was 100% the correct choice, but it is very funny that, yeah, you see this great, like, comic book-ish art of, like, all these characters, and then when it actually starts, each fucking, like, every machine from, like, 30 feet away is just a color blob. It's just a single color, and you just see the polygons get more detailed as you get closer. I do, again, yeah, right choice, but there is something, and also the tracks are very simple. Well, the tracks look very simple. I do think it's almost remarkable just how much this is a souped-up version of SNES F-Zero.
Yes.
Like, it basically is like, what if we just did that, but on the Nintendo 64 this time? Whereas like Ocarina would like redefine that whole series. This is like, what if we just did that, but like the new console?
Not to get too much into Ocarina, but Ocarina was also very much like, it was in that Link to the Past mold, kind of, made 3D. And I feel like that's the same like reasoning here for translating F-Zero to 3D. It's like, let's just do what worked on the Super Nintendo, but translate it into a 3D environment. And now that we have 3D, what can we do? Loop-de-loops.
Right.
Tunnels. Cylinders. And
bro, fucking cylinders. Some guy was doing coke in the EAD office, and he's like, yo, fucking cylinders though. Every course should have a cylinder. Everything should have a fucking cylinder in this game. And you know what though? He's fucking right. Because when I'm playing F-Zero X, when I'm playing a futuristic racer, I want to go up and down a fucking cylinder.
Yes, exactly. So let's get into the setting of F-Zero. So right away, I have a physical copy of the manual here, not to
I see that.
brag or anything.
No, go ahead and brag.
I love the that the opening pages of the manual are basically framing this whole booklet as the rule book for F-Zero.
That's pretty good.
Like, it gives you like notifications and pilot notifications. So the story here is that the F-Zero tournament was canceled due to, the Japanese book calls it a great accident, or in the US manual it's many great accidents.
Yeah, because
that led to F-Zero being canceled.
You know something funny is, and again, this is skipping ahead a bit, but in F-Zero GX, they always refer to an accident 4 years ago, and I thought for sure, oh, that has to be referring to the N64 F-Zero game, and it isn't. It's just referring to an accident, and F-Zero GX takes place 1 year after F-Zero X.
Yeah, so...
because F-Zero X says it was 3 years ago.
So... in F-Zero X canon 3 years ago, there was a great accident on the track, which canceled everything. So they brought back F-Zero due to fan outcry. They did away with the bumpers. They limited it to 30 racers on the track at a time for quote-unquote, like, safety reasons?
It is so fucking funny that they did away with the bumpers canonically.
Yes. It says, we have changed the competition's name to the F-Zero X GP and have revised the rules and regulations. Here's to the return of great competition. We wish you all success.
I mean, okay, first off, do you think that when they're having kids do like F-Zero, death races, it's like a bowling alley where you could turn the bumpers on for the kids? But like when it's the adults racing, you're like, no, this is real men doing some racing. Bumpers off. But it is funny that like they really emphasize the danger in this one based on what you just read, but it's not just like hyperbole. This is a game where you see other cars explode around you, which is so good.
You get a star counter for each of the cars you just straight up kill in this game.
Yeah. Well, I forget what track I was doing last night. Again, just practicing. But like within the first lap, I see a car in front of me just like explode, and then as it like not the carcass, but basically the carcass of the car, almost the body of the car, like almost hit me, as it was like exploding. And in that moment, I really connected with this game where I'm like, I am in a death race. I am in a future death race. This fucking rules. Like, there are stakes to this. This is amazing.
The only thing this needs to really sell it more is if it had the twisted metal, you see the little guy, the 2D driver, just run around the track after their vehicle's destroyed.
I think there's, you can like fall off. There's so many areas to fall off in this game.
Yes.
That I don't know that they were like, that's how most people are probably gonna fucking die.
That's true. 100%.
They do.
That's how I died.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They straight up like give you an attack option now, which was not in the original. Now you actually literally have an offensive maneuver.
Oh, that's right, because you have. Also, with the booklet, they also have a list of maneuvers that you can do in this game. And from your slides, your boost, to your side attack, left side attack, right, to your spin attack, which is never explained how to do in your game. So if you don't know how to do a spin attack, you have to look at this manual to...
Michael, how do you do the spin attack? Because I was trying to do it last night, and I couldn't figure it out.
You hold Z and R at the same time, and then tap R twice or tap Z twice while holding both.
That's terrible.
Yes.
That is. I'm not wrong. F-Zero X, they made it simpler, didn't they? I feel like F-Zero GX. I feel like they made it simpler, right?
Yeah. The X button did the like juke to the left or right, and the Z button did the spin attack.
Gotcha. And it's funny that spin attack though is now not iconic, but it's like a part of F-Zero. It is in F-Zero 99. You know, that is retconned into being a part of the original F-Zero. But like I'm looking at some pictures of the instruction manual. Also on all the character bios, not only do they have like the picture you see in the game, which is like their drawn character, but there's pictures of them with their machines. Like I'm seeing one of Mr. EAD with his machine, and he's like tying his shoe on one of like on like the right side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Biorex, who is like he's got his arms out from the machine, and he's going like, "Hey, like, what are you gonna do?" Just a lot of personality in these like little pieces of art.
Yeah, all the characters.
Wait, what's Pico doing?
All 30 racers.
Pico looks so cool as fuck.
Right,
yeah.
He's just chilling on top of
Pico's
his machine.
relaxed. He's just chilling on top of the wild goose.
We got a canonical age for Pico
Fucking
with
dude.
123 or so, he says, as we'll see in our manuals.
Yes.
That
yeah.
lying about your age is apparently a thing in this series.
It's a consistent theme, as we'll learn in the next game. It's very weird.
So let's get into some of like,
but yeah, I mean like
racers lore here, because there's a lot of crossing over story. There's like 3 or 4 stories happening at once, and certain characters have like set rivalries with other characters. Which, when we talk about the gameplay, it very much plays into the rival system of this game, which is like the main
100%
sticking point to compare it to the original F-Zero.
I mean, like, I'm literally looking. I just did at kind of as a random one, just looking at Zoda. His profile specifically cites like beefs with Captain Falcon and like Super Arrow and Mrs. Arrow or whatever.
Right.
And so yeah, you're right. They've got multiple stories going on now.
Yeah, and like if you look at like Super Arrow's story, he's a superhero racer going after Zoda, but he also has his wife on the track, Mrs. Arrow, who they directly point out that she's the more experienced like racer. So yeah, it really fleshes out these characters. You have Blood Falcon, who they just say was created by Black Shadow. Blood Falcon is an exact duplicate of Captain Falcon. Well, almost. Blood Falcon is very, very evil. So it also establishes that cloning is a thing in this universe, and you can make a perfect racing clone.
Blood Falcon is sort of like... Blood Falcon is the weird one that comes out of nowhere. Like, we created an evil Captain Falcon. And it's like, wait, so how much importance does Captain Falcon have? I thought he was just a guy. But no, apparently he's someone that's like, he's important enough to clone. And like, I gotta be honest.
There's so much weight given to Captain Falcon as like we go more forward with the series. Like he evolves from like a bounty hunter to a straight up superhero.
Yeah, like I'm looking at the Black Shadow profile. First of all, age unknown. It says the King of Evil, Black Shadow strikes fear in the hearts of everyone, blah, blah, blah. His goal is to destroy Captain Falcon in front of millions of viewers.
Which is awesome.
So, like, he's got that going on. I gotta say, Black Shadow, this is one thing against F-Zero. He is positioned as, like, the main villain, and I don't particularly care for his design. I think Zoda is a much better villain design. Like, Zoda is just wacky and weird.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm crazy for that, but I prefer Zoda as an F-Zero villain.
No,
Black Shadow.
I think you're right. We also have like really cool alien designs. Like we got Biorex and we have Billy, who is the first monkey.
I love Billy. Yeah. Oh no, one of my favorites, dude. Sorry, I'm just seeing over here the skull.
Yeah.
He's literally just like he's resurrected. He's just a skeleton, and he's like resurrected through magic. So again, magic is real in the F-Zero universe.
The lore implications in just the profiles of F-Zero X are insanity. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah. And none of this, like, again, none of this is actually played out within F-Zero X the game. It's just something you can learn. And it does make it feel more alive.
Yes.
It makes the game feel, it just makes the world feel denser in a good way. And like
it makes you connect to each of the pilots on the track. It makes you realize, oh, he's ganging up on me. We have a history. I want to knock out this dude on the racetrack.
Yeah, so it's not just you're not just picking a machine. In some cases, you are picking a person because you like you like that person. And sometimes there's like not joke characters per se, but like you've got Silver Nielsen, who is like the old man, and he's like about to die basically, but he still competes in F-Zero.
He's resentful of the newer machines. The other racers are avoiding him. It's my favorite bit in the manual about him.
It's also funny that Mighty Gazelle has never had a major part in the story, but Michael, I swear to God, and you can testify to this because you just saw the Japanese box art, they have really pushed Mighty Gazelle since F-Zero X. Like,
he's so cool looking.
They really put him... Yeah, because I think people just like the idea of, like, guy got injured in F-Zero race, came back as Cyborg. But, like, they really push Mighty Gazelle a lot. It's kind of funny to me that, like, for a guy who has not actually been important in the little story there is, they're like, yeah, but everyone... This guy's cool as shit.
And let's touch briefly on Jodie Summer here. She becomes like the main female protagonist of F-Zero, like a secondary protagonist.
100%. She's the main female lead.
She's the main female lead. And we'll talk about this more next time. Them trying to figure out what to do with Jodie to make her relevant is insane in some aspects.
Never good. It's always bad. It's never worked. I'm sorry. GP Legend will go fucking I don't want to talk about that really yet. What to do. Yeah, I know. That's why I just said. But like you said, they are going to push her as like the female co-lead. It is not going to work.
It's wild. So all we have here for Jodie is one of the top rookie pilots in the circuit. While Jodie doesn't have much experience, many see her as a dark horse. And that's it with her. We'll get a lot more with her as we go along.
Yeah, and also, strong female character, and then you get John Tanaka, who literally is like, he's basically just there to protect Jodie, and it's like, well, what the fuck is she doing? Like, what is this dynamic they've got going on there?
Oh yeah, because he's a member of, like, the Galactic Federation, which... is very different from the Galactic Federation and Metroid. They're not the same Galactic Federation, despite the fact that their universe is also
right, and it's also different than the Federation in Star Trek. Yeah, a lot of stuff going. Yeah, you're right. It's basically the same fucking. I like that Nintendo is big on like, well, we need like crazy weird people in space. Just call them bounty hunters. That's the term we're gonna use. Because I don't know if you heard like when they were Retro made Metroid Prime. And for one of the later games, I think 3, they were pitching like, oh, well, we could have Samus do like some actual bounty hunting. And Nintendo's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And they're like, well, yeah, you guys made her a bounty hunter. She could do some actual bounty hunting. And they're like, that's what a bounty hunter is? And they were like, yeah, what'd you think? They were like, we thought it was just like space adventurer. We didn't think like it was hunting down people for money. So they're very coy now about calling her a bounty hunter, because it is like, wait, we didn't think, like, we thought she was just having misadventures on space, not like she gets hired to take people in alive or dead.
She's basically a mercenary doing contracts for government agents. Mercenary would be a much better term to describe her, because I think in Dread they've come the closest to referencing, but she was like, I did this job for the money. Or she calls like hunting down a Metroid a bounty. Specifically... I'm like, that's a stretch.
Yeah, the computer specifically refers to it as a bounty, and I think that was them trying to, you're right, square the circle between what they want her to be versus, like, that she has been identified as a bounty hunter for 30 years.
We have 2 racers here that sort of tie us into other Nintendo franchises. We have the aforementioned Mr. EAD, who has a Starman on his belt. Not Starman from, like, Earthbound, but, like, a Mario star on his belt. Mario. I want to say there's like other references to Nintendo properties here, but he definitely has a mustache.
Well, his face. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much Mario face.
His face is very much supposed to be Mario.
He was a cyborg developed by a mysterious development group. His purpose for racing is to test his IQ and debug his man-made programming. And
get it?
Probably the most famous Nintendo reference here is James McCloud, who's the same name as Star Fox's father. James McCloud is a hired ranger and the leader of the Galaxy Dogs. He remodeled his ship's fighter into an F-Zero machine. McCloud is in this Grand Prix for one reason, money. And his spaceship kind of looks like a remodeled R-Wing. It has the same like color aesthetic. So we got a loose connection to Star Fox here.
his clothes are directly the Star Fox clothes.
And he's wearing sunglasses, like, and every time we saw a flashback of Fox McCloud's dad, he always had, like, aviator sunglasses on.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I feel like that covers, I mean, obviously there's others, there's, like, you got Michael Chane in here.
Chane,
but I feel like that covers a lot of the big, yeah, I know, it is, I love that fucking thing. You got Gomar and Shio, who are, like, they're, like, dual racers, they race together, because they're basically, like, one person. And yeah, you got, I think, like, you get the point, right? Like, listener, because it's just that you get a lot more fun, weird future guys. And also, this doesn't feel like we're creating, like, fucking, I don't know, spin-off characters or mascots. It's like, I don't know, just fucking throw anything at it. Like, just weird ideas.
There's a dinosaur. He likes to race. Don't worry about it.
What if a guy was a skull? Yeah.
God. So,
like, Leon in particular feels like, you know, my OC, don't steal. Because there's nothing going on with him besides he's like a fucking Foxman.
Yes, exactly. The 16-year-old Foxman who can race machines.
The fact that he's a teenager really makes it feel my OC, don't steal.
Man, I love this game so much. So that's the story, the story setup and the racers. So, my game notes here. The vibe of F-Zero changes here and it gets its own unique style. The new boost system, 30 racers, rival system, and a ranking system where it's not just clearing tracks within a set number of lives to get to the end. Now, each race is sort of like it's interconnected with each other. They're not isolated anymore. And the rival system comes into play with that, where the person right in front of you, or if you're at the top right behind you on the leaderboard, is your rival. And so it paints a picture of someone on the track that you need to take out, or at least be a better than, in order to advance in the rankings or to keep your current ranking.
Yep. Which I think, again, it leans F-Zero X from the moment that guitar riff comes on screen. This game is like, this is a more aggressive F-Zero. This is, and I think the rival system really helps with that, because you are given direct incentive to take out your opponents, as well as having this attack, of course. And the fact that, like, you can see through each level, like, because I think your opponents, despite you having to, like, start the track over, if your opponents are, you know, forced out, like, if you kill them or whatever, they're actually back in the next race, but they'll get 0 points for that race. So suddenly that rival is no longer a rival, because you just knocked out, there's no way they're going to come back from that.
They become a non-factor. So if you wipe out someone who's at the top of the rankings, that can really help you, especially if you do well in that race.
And you're also seeing, because in the first F-Zero, there's no indication that other cars are not doing good, whereas this, just like you, they'll be blinking red if they're vulnerable, and you'll be like, I bet I can get a fucking sweet, just one hit in here, and take this guy out. So, the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm coming to it, although I will say it does suffer from the same problem that all the N64 racers suffered, which is, well, for the multiplayer specifically, that it was like, well, we can have 4 people at the cost of having no other people. Yeah. You know, it is like, and it is the whole, like, well, you can have fucking 4 people racing, but you will be the only 4 on the track.
And F-Zero X is very much dependent on that chaotic 30 racers piling up on each other on tight turns in order for it to be a lot of fun.
And so I think, I honestly don't think the multiplayer of F-Zero X is that great, because, I think you need these tracks to be crowded. Mm-hmm. Like, it needs to feel like, again, Death Race.
I agree completely. The only slight bit of story we get in this game is some of the character stuff at the end. Yeah, at the end of the Grand Prix, you get a sort of they do a firework JPEG of the racer with like one line of dialogue at the end, and that's kind of like where we get our story. I didn't think to like look up all of what all of those say, but to transition to our favorite stuff, my machine of choice in this game was the Green Panther, Antonio Guster, who was Goro's right-hand man until Goro betrayed him. So his last line of dialogue for this game was like, "I'll get you, Goro!" And that's basically it.
Antonio Guster is such a fucking poser. Just absolute dweeb.
Yes.
I do not care for that man. So that's the thing. There's certain cars and like people where I'm like, I fucking hate this guy. I don't want to be him. Because of that.
I don't like his look, but his car was easy for me to wrap my head around, and I won more Grand Prix with him than any other car I experimented with.
I gotcha. I actually really like Jack Levin's car, the Astro Robin. I thought that was a fun one. I actually, of all cars, well, these are also two characters. I love Roger Buster and Drac, because they're just like two delivery guys who took up F-Zero racing like as a side hustle. And I like that they're just two bros. And Drac is like a big, weird pink alien, kind of like Kilowog from Green Lantern. And Roger Buster is just like a fucking, like jacked bald dude from like the city or whatever. And I'm a big fan of their aesthetic.
He looks like Jet Black from Cowboy Bebop.
I have not seen Cowboy Bebop, unfortunately, but I will take your word for it.
Yeah.
And I apologize for any listeners that we have lost because I just said that. But, like, I'm going to watch it one day. You know what? I'm going to watch the live-action Netflix one just to spite everybody. That's the version I'm going to watch.
No, please.
No. I will watch it. Anyway, Roger Buster, I like that car as well. And I think they're named similar. Like, Roger Buster's car, yeah, his is the Mighty Hurricane, and Drax is the Mighty Typhoon. So I like both of those guys. I'm normally not a fan of cars with, like, really shitty like body because I constantly get hurt, but I do like Mighty Gazelle and his car.
I like Mighty Gazelle as well.
Yeah, but I mean, my boy, it's still Pico. It's still Pico. Oh, one other thing I want to say, that it's like, I do think it is unfortunate that they have Blood Falcon, who is like the more evil Captain Falcon, and they give him like the shittiest car.
He terrible turning and B body. But he has really good boosting. But that doesn't mean anything if your car explodes in like 2 hits.
Yeah. I think the worst car, the one that I just never even went with, is Dr. Octavius. Oh, excuse me, Dr. Clash and the Crazy Bear. It just looks like Dr. Otto Octavius from Spider-Man. But
his car has eyes on it, though.
I'm not a fan. It does have eyes, but like it's so goofy. But I don't know. Maybe I don't hate it as much, but I never really liked it. I'll say that much.
So, getting the things he liked, what are your favorite tracks in F-Zero X?
So, I don't love a lot of the tracks in this game, but I will say that, like, here are 2 notes I have. And this was from replaying the first cup last night. I replayed every course last night. I wanted to make sure I had F-Zero X in particular down. So, I will just say here are 2 notes I wrote. And this is from the first Grand Prix. Sandpipe is what F-Zero is all about. And then my next note. First big blue course is what F-Zero is all about. Because basically, Sandpipe is an internal pipe. Like, you're going... I think they really embrace, like you said with the loop-de-loops, they really embrace the 3D, but they also embrace the gravity stuff. So with Sandpipe, you are literally inside a pipe, and you can go up on all the walls of the pipe. And for the first big blue course, it is the outside of a pipe. So you are... Like, I love playing with the gravity on that one, because you can go so fast that you accidentally launch yourself off and into the great big void. But it's fun to just, you can, like, circle this whole pipe, barely even, like, running into anybody, because you just have so many options.
Oh, for sure. Like, and it creates, like, strategy there for, like, your positioning. Like, you can go fast on the cylinder, but if you're on the, like, inside of the turn, you can go really fast. If you're on the outside, like you said, you'll launch yourself straight off. I have a few favorite tracks here. I really like the interpretation of Firefield here. I like that it just launches you into a zigzag of death. So you gotta line up your positioning during that jump. And Mute City 2 is really good. I like the jump mid-tracks, as you can easily just like knock dudes off while you're going in that mid-air jump. Space Plant and Sector B, the double somersault track, I think is really cool.
Right. I remember Sector B. Well, it's funny you mentioned Mute City 2's jumps. What I like is Mute City 3's subtitle is Jumps of Doom. And it basically is like, no, don't do the jumps. You are most likely going to kill yourself if you do the jumps. It is actually telling you, like, try to avoid the jumps on this one, because it can only hurt you. I also really liked Devil's Forest 3, which Funny enough, that's not the Sand Planet, but that's the one where they had like a big skeleton in the background. But
Right.
Devil's Forest 3 is, yeah, that's the one where the gimmick is that like the course does a 180 onto itself in terms of like you'll be flat, and if you look up, you're seeing other people behind you like race. The court like loops or course loops in on itself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's called like the mirror trick. Yeah. So from the bottom, you'll look up and see people like who are behind or ahead of you.
Oh, right, this
again,
one.
they're just playing with the gravity. Yeah, they're just playing with the gravity aspect of it.
That one's so cool too, and there's a few tracks like
Yeah,
that in GX that do that, where you're racing simultaneously, and it's so cool. I love tracks that do that.
I think this was the first one they really went with that, and I thought it was great. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I think a problem that F-Zero can have is that, especially when you do take the other cars out from the first one, is that it can feel like when you're in first and you're doing really well, like, well, what's behind me? Like, is there anything? Like, it's just wide stretches sometimes, as we'll talk about in the next game. But it's just like really long stretches of nothing, and that course is so fun to be like, no, they're still racing. Like, the race is happening, even if you don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as final boss course goes, I just got to know, what do you think of Big Hand?
I hate Big Hand. Terrible track.
I love Big Hand. It's
I hate
so
it
goofy.
so much. I hate it.
It's so dumb. I love Big Hand. Just what if a course? The premise of that course is just, what if a course was a hand? That's just it. There's like, it's so stupid. I'm a big fan of Big Hand.
I hate Big Hand. That's literally on my worst track. So let's transition to worst tracks. Besides Big Hand, my other least favorite one is Whiteland 2, also known as Half Pipe.
Michael, I put Whiteland 2 as my worst track in that game.
Oh god,
because I think that is, it's yeah. Or wait, no, what? Not Whiteland 2. Sorry, Whiteland 1. I think Whiteland 2 is actually kind of, that's the goofy half pipe, right?
Yeah, Whiteland 2 is the half
I guess
pipe.
maybe this is a difference between you and me. I want the tracks to be dumber sometimes. I'm like, how can we make this track even dumber? But I think Whiteland in general. Well, I think with this Whiteland, I just thought there were too many sharp turns that just feel like completely unavoidable.
Yeah. The Whiteland courses are definitely like the weakest courses, I think, in this game. Whiteland 2, I appreciate how dumb it is. It's just so easy to fall off. Like, I lost all my lives on Whiteland 2.
It made me like seasick because you're not even moving that fast because you're just turning so much.
Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
It's very dumb. Yeah, I don't blame you for picking that one, even if I enjoy it.
What was your machine of choice? Mine, as mentioned, was Green Panther. Even though it has probably the worst story and worst car, I found myself winning a lot.
It's fine. I'm not gonna lie, man. It's my boy Pico. It's the Wild Goose. Although I do, like I said, I liked the Jack Levin one, the Robin, whatever it was, and I like Biorex's Big Fang as well.
We also got to mention, honorable mention for best track, the X Cup.
No, X Cup sucks. I did it again last night, and I'm like,
I love X Cup.
It's so stupid. Okay, so just to be clear, listener, if you don't know what the X Cup
is, this is the dumb gimmick.
I thought this dumb gimmick was boring. I like the dumb gimmicks that are exciting. This was the X Cup is entirely randomly generated tracks.
Yes,
and maybe it's just my luck. I get the most boring fucking tracks. They're just like straight lines.
Sometimes you get one like that, but then sometimes you get one that's like, the computer, it doesn't know how to navigate the track, so you'll end up in instances where you're the only racer to finish because they added like a sharp turn in there that everyone just careens off the side, which is a lot of fun. So the X Cup is probably one of the easier cups to max out and beat. It's probably the easiest cup because some of the CPU shenanigans that can happen on it is fun, but it's just a really cool thing having a randomly generated track here, and it's really awesome.
Yeah, not a fan.
Okay.
Just that's me. They were trying something, I suppose. By the way, they also have what is like actual death race, which is like the mode where you're just supposed to kill the other fucking machines. I didn't play that in time for this like revisit. I don't recall liking it though.
It's fine. It's just a loop to loop. It's fun to do once and then go, that was a neat thing, and then move on. It's what I thought F-099 was like going to be. But then they actually made it racist. Mm-hmm. But best music track.
Fucking rips.
What is your favorite music track in this game?
Oh fuck! I think I didn't write it down, but whatever it is that plays on Big Hand. It's like it is a well. The problem is, for the actually, I guess it would be Big Blue. I know this is a generic choice, but yeah, there's another sick Big Blue theme.
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
Yeah.
There's, I do find the music in this game is less memorable to me than even some of the weirder stuff in GX.
I don't, maybe less memorable, but I think some of these songs rip. Like the one that plays on Silence, the song's called Dream Chaser, just starts with that sick synthesizer with like the screeching guitar on top of it. I love that track so much. Anything that uses like the synthesizer and guitars together, I'm just a huge fan of. That's just my music taste in general, but more synthesizers.
Yeah.
And then the results track.
Wait, which track? Sorry.
The results screen, like the Grand Prix results, is so good.
Oh, I would like that if you could fucking skip it.
I don't know.
Am I crazy? I thought it was unskippable.
It is, no, I mean, I don't mind not being able to skip it because that track rips so hard. I love it so much. I love the music.
Wait, are we talking like when the Grand Prix is over, or just the one after each race?
When the Grand Prix is over, that final.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I can't back you up there.
Man, I don't know. I love that song so much. Also, I want to mention the sound design in this game, especially the 3, 2, 1 race and the robotic voice.
Oh, yeah.
When the drums kick in for the songs, it's so good.
No, big fan. Like, again, there is a lot I like about this game. It's just funny that, like, I think GX will so outclass it that it's just kind of I have less desire to return to this point in the series.
Yes.
But that's just me.
Think of the opposite. This is a top 3 Nintendo 64 game for me.
Wow.
I love this game.
Okay.
It rules so hard. Maybe top 5. I'll have to sit down and think, but
yeah, you got to get on fucking Kirby and the Crystal Stars, man. You got to get on top of that shit.
It's that one goes too slow. I don't know.
It does go very slow. I wanted to just pick a random game. I wouldn't put that in the top 3.
Yeah, okay. I was about to say, if you really want to defend Kirby 64, I'm like, that game moves so freaking slow. It's ridiculous.
No, I think it's fine. It's not bad, but I think it's just kind of fine. Anyway, enough of our Kirby talk.
Yeah,
for F-Zero. There's no Kirby connections in any of these games that I've noticed.
Not that I've seen, but real quick, want to touch on this thing. In Japan only, for the Nintendo 64 disc drive, it was real quick. It was a failed peripheral for the Super Nintendo that allowed for discs and had additional cartridge slot. So, they got an expansion pack for F-Zero X over there, which included 2 DD cups. Pause for laughter.
Yeah, move on. We're moving on. We're moving on. I'll tell you where the DD cups were. They were on that title screen when you press start and you see all the lady holding the GP sign. You know what I'm saying? Fucking. All right, everybody. You can't cancel me. You can't cancel me for this.
All right. This includes some tracks with some interesting layouts. There's just a course called X, like the X Cups, except it is an actual like outlined X, like looks like the new Twitter logo and everything.
I remember this now. I remember seeing like footage of this.
You have instead the final race is not Big Hand, is Big Foot. It's and it's called Even Sharper Turns.
Fuck it, yes. I gotta get on top of this DD expansion shit.
They also include 2 modes that we didn't get over here in any F-Zero game in the West. Build a Machine. Oh no, never mind. We got Build a Machine in F-Zero GX, but the Course Designer, which was based on the tool that they used to actually make the courses in the game. So you basically got this developer level,
pretty neat
course design, which is really cool. And it's a shame we never got over here. I keep waiting for the day Nintendo's just like on the Japanese only version of the Nintendo Switch Online for Nintendo 64. They're just like, yeah, here's the expansion pack. I doubt they'll ever do it. But I'm waiting for that day.
Listen, I'm still waiting for the day Nintendo was gonna fucking release the Virtual Boy catalog on the 3DS, and that never fucking happened.
Oh my god. Next, we have another game on the Nintendo 64, and this was our first like appearance of Captain Falcon outside of this series. It's what he's most well known for, sadly. It's time to talk about Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers released in 1999 and featured Captain Falcon as an unlockable fighter. All this information I'm reading is taken from the Smash Brothers wiki. Thank you, Smash Brothers wiki editors. His design is based off his appearance from F-Zero X, and his moveset is original to the game. His neutral special is the famous Falcon Punch, which has a considerable amount of startup lag, with extremely high kickback and damage output to compensate. His attacks are very fast, and overall can combo into each other well. Captain Falcon currently lies in the A tier of the Super Smash Bros. Tier list in 3rd place. The victory theme from Captain Falcon is a techno rock remix of the End of Racetrack heard in F-Zero X.
So, I gotta be honest, Michael. Do we know why they chose Captain Falcon?
I do not know. My guess is he most likely resembled the skeletal structure of the original plan for Smash Bros., which was just to be a fighting game with polygonal characters. And if you look at his body type in that game, he looks kind of similar to what those original fighters were. So maybe it was just hey, we can put Captain Falcon on this and don't have to change much.
Well, I do know for a fact that he was based off of Samus. Kind of in the same way Jigglypuff was taken from Kirby as a base. Captain Falcon was loosely taken from Samus in terms of the body. I think they were well, we have another tall humanoid character. And I think they even have a couple of the same moves, not the special moves, but I think a couple of their punches and kicks are actually exactly the same.
I'm thinking of how Samus has this kind of cross arm thing, she goes from an uppercut to brings the hammer down. I think Captain Falcon has a similar thing before he gets into his straight up punch combo.
Right. And I believe Captain Falcon, so Falcon punches from this game.
Yes.
I don't think he's the only character to have spoken audio. But maybe, the Pokemon have their names, but
Fox has a hiya!
He might be the only... Oh yeah, you're right, Fox technically did. But he does say, but Falcon Punch and Show Me Your Moves both come from this game. Which, again, were creations entirely original to this game. They do not come from even any of the instruction manuals or anything.
And in part
this
2...
was an entirely... Yeah, we'll go into Melee, right, in part 2.
Not just Melee, but how sort of Smash Brothers works its way back into the main series.
Yes, which is very fun to me. The ways that, it's... Yeah, exactly. We got to save that talk. I know we're running long anyway. We still have a game to cover.
Yep.
But
we'll be quick with this next one.
I would say there's not... Yeah, but, and we know why, because it's not great. Anyway, not spoilers. But, I do think Captain Falcon... He and Ness do have the problem in the Nintendo 64 Smash that neither of them has a stage, and I say a problem. Obviously, this only benefited the characters being included in Smash. Ness was straight up the Earthbound fandom. I'm sorry, a lot of it comes from Smash Brothers. A lot of it just comes from Ness being in Smash Brothers, which creates much more awareness. I would argue the same for Captain Falcon with F-Zero. And I do think he's a fun character in F-Zero, but it is kind of wild that, you think about... I think recently I was looking at, this is something I did myself, I don't know why. I saw the Super Smash Bros. Melee character select screen versus Smash Ultimate, even before the DLC in Smash Ultimate, and just how fucking wild it is that Melee at the time, I'm I don't know if we'll ever top this. I don't know if we'll ever be able to, get this many, Nintendo characters in a game. And then Brawl, of course, would do Sonic, and it's well, we're never topping getting Sonic in a Smash Brothers game. That simply will not happen. And
we got Cloud.
I fucking yeah. Well, the fact that it ended recently with Sora was just the pinnacle. It's we can't. What more is there? What more is there realistically that can be done? Because he was the one where it's realistically this will probably never happen, even though technically he fits the requirements. And it's nope, they did it. So anyway, sorry for the Smash Brothers tangent, but what I'm trying to get at is, think of the roster for Super Smash Bros. 1. How few characters they actually, pulled from. That they were pulling from, a guy who is only known for driving a car. Most people probably wouldn't even if they played those games, would not be able to name the character. Right?
Right.
So it's just kind of odd, I feel. Not odd in a bad way. Again, just, very bold choice to put Captain Falcon in there. And as you said, we'll touch on it more, but the fact that he's so associated now with Smash Brothers, just based on... I would love if we can find an interview with Sakurai or whoever, why they put him in there, but it feels like it was a lark. It was fuck it, this guy.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet it was because of the like character model similarities to the stuff they were already working with. I don't think it will go much deeper than that,
Yeah.
sadly. But now we move on to the Game Boy Advance for the final game we're going to be talking about today, F-Zero Maximum Velocity. And this is notable because Kazunobu Shimizu, who was the game director as the first game, he comes back to direct this one. And this is the first game developed by ND Cube, which would later become synonymous with Nintendo's more casual ventures. And for development, they use a scaling and rotation of the bitmap graphics to reproduce Mode 7 effect, the Mode 7 effects of the original Super Nintendo.
Okay. Let's just get it out of the way. I kind of spoiled it, so I'm sorry it's not a surprise. Michael, you and I did not care for this game.
I really did not like Maximum Velocity.
Was this your first time playing it?
Yes.
Okay, I had played it a couple years before. In fact, I'm embarrassed to say why, but I played it on the Wii U Virtual Console. Right? I was like, oh, okay, let's try this because it's the only F-Zero game released in the West that I haven't played, and I played it, and I was not impressed, but I didn't really know why. And I think you and I have talked a little bit before this podcast, and we're kind of trying to figure out why this does not work in some way.
Yeah, I think most of my problems with this game is because of the control system. I think this game just using the default machine, which may have been my problem picking the default machine, thinking it would be the most balanced for this game, just feels like it's constantly sliding on ice, which makes matters worse when you actually have to slide on ice.
Mm-hmm.
So you're sliding all over the place.
The physics are wild in this.
It does not feel good to play. The end of race music is pretty lame and unmemorable. It does this thing where when you're low on power, you move slower. So the less energy you have, the slower your vehicle goes in a racing game. To the point where if you're... Mm-hmm. And if you're at 0 health and just keep going, your car will just randomly explode without touching anything. And my other side, the main problem is, I think these races for 2D single-plane F-Zero are way too long. These all feel like Firefield-length racetracks. And this is a mobile game. This is a game made for a portable handheld. And you have longer tracks than the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, and, I really, we were talking about, I made the point, F-Zero X, it's just the first game, but on the N64, what it was capable of. This is kind of remarkable to me in the sense that this feels like F-Zero 2, but worse. It really just feels like it is a straight-up sequel to the Super Nintendo game, which it is. It's very clearly supposed to be. But, one notable thing is, they immediately go back to the old boost system. So we're already, disregarding stuff that, F-Zero X had actually improved on, in my opinion. Did we talk much about the boost system in X, by the way?
Oh, we did not.
I just want to touch on that, which to me that changes the game and redefines the intensity of it. The idea that your boost is now tied to your health was just one of the best decisions they made.
The risk reward,
because it has you. Yeah, you're constantly weighing that, and again, where I said F-Zero X is more aggressive, that's part of it. Is well, if I use a boost, I'm going to have less health, but I also know a fucking healing thing is coming up. But also, if I know this track is hard and I keep bumping into shit, do I need to not boost because I need to have health that's going to survive this? Just a lot more to consider with that new system.
You're weighing every single situation and determining on the moment-to-moment basis, do I boost or do I not boost? And it works so well. And the fact that they go back to the Super Nintendo version of boost for this game just is kind of sad.
It is, and it just... Alright, so here's a big thing. Don't judge a book by its cover, except I think sometimes you can. And in this case, these machines look like shit. This was a bad... I don't know what happened.
They're so boring.
They don't look good. They're really boring, and I think some of the descriptions in the manual indicates that they were based on, 70s cars. I'm sorry, that just didn't work out.
Yeah.
I think that the main car, the Hot Violet, immediately first of all these cars have like flames and shit, which it comes off as like kind of a try-hard thing.
Like hot rods and
but
stuff.
like, yeah, it really did not work for me. They all feel too wide. Like if I just feel like they didn't feel futuristic in a cool. I mean, I guess they are because they're like floating or whatever. But I feel like all the ones in the original are either sleek or rounded, or there's something. Whereas these all feel just kind of mashed together. It feels like the store brand version of F-Zero. It doesn't feel like F-Zero.
I'll tell you why I think this backfired is because they based it on more real life designs. If you go back to the original F-Zero, it's based on Batman. Very like impractical aesthetic, which is why those cars look freaking awesome. Here is based on like real car designs, and because of that, they just look uninspired and boring. Each of the cars has like headlights, look like jalopies and stuff.
That's what it is. It's a jalopy. Thank you for the word. Yes, it looks like a jalopy.
It's so boring.
I mean, I'm looking at the third car, the JB Crystal. When you drive that, when you drive the JB Crystal, it looks like you're driving a fucking Volkswagen Beetle. And unless this is fucking, underrated N64 classic Beetle Adventure Racing, I don't want to feel like I'm driving a fucking Beetle in my like futuristic racing game.
No, it just misses the mark on everything that makes F-Zero great. Is why I don't like Maximum Velocity.
Yeah, I think so. There's gameplay stuff that we've hinted at, but I know we'll get into more. But I just think that sometimes when we talk about games in like the abstract, I think we actually try to not emphasize the aesthetics, and we talk about like game design and stuff, the actual play mechanics. Sometimes aesthetics are really important. And F-Zero, one of the reasons why that game worked is because its aesthetics, again, I hate that word, but like it just applies. All this design in that game just was great. It all looked great, and it felt great, and it sounded great, and nothing really comes close to that in this. And I also, just a quick note, we could talk about these characters because first of all, they never came back. But these are all new characters. I think it takes place 25 years after F-Zero. That was the idea.
Yeah, 25 years later. So it's basically F-Zero: The Next Generation. And the plot synopsis reads exactly like the opening crawl for the Phantom Menace in terms of like, the space economy has grew very vast to the point where trade routes are attacked by pirates.
You're right.
It talks about trade.
I was reading it today and like messaging you because I'm like, is this really what they're doing? Yeah. You're right. They're literally talking about like piracy and like not in the cool piracy, just like the trade routes type of shit. You're right. It is literally, listen, this is the last sentence in the story description. Their conservative business practices put a lot of high-priced space pilots out of work, and so there came a rise in the number of daring men and women looking to get rich quick the only way left to them, as F-Zero pilots. Now, I get the ending is fine, but, like, their conservative business practices put a lot of space pilots out of work. Why are we talking about this in an F-Zero game?
This is a game about high-speed death races with superheroes and animated skeletons, and you're talking about, like, capitalism. What are you doing?
Yeah, and not, like, Yeah, and this isn't, by the way, this isn't some fucking Marx treatise on capitalism either. This is just stupid fucking, like, no, it's just dumb as shit. But it's like, Pico's an assassin, maybe, right? Samurai Goro might have stolen his machine. Dr. Stewart, like, is a rich boy who got his machine from his father. Like, these are all you need. Because I'm actually looking at the character profiles. Again, none of these characters never came back. Maybe, and this is just speculation, maybe it's because in the first game you have a guy named Captain Falcon with an iconic design. And in this game, your main character is this lady in a purple jumpsuit named Megan. And that's just it. It's literally just Megan. They even say, like, her last name is unknown. Her name is fucking Megan. No offense to Megans out there, but god damn it, you do not, like, try to launch your new cast of characters with a hero named fucking Megan.
Were they going to do, like, a Force Awakens, like, plot twist with Megan to be like, oh, she's connected to a legacy guy? Like, we're going to find out her last name is Goro. Or something.
Yeah, your Zoda's daughter. Yeah, exactly. God help us. God fucking help us if that was the plan. But that's not even, because Ray sounds like a good character name. Ray is a great character now. Megan is just some fucking chick from the local, like, Burger King.
And now,
anyway,
the hero of ages, they call him Tim.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's just that, like, what is it? Quest 64 is the game where it's like, yes, this great epic fantasy, and here is our hero, Brian. And that's just like no like flair on it. It's literally just his name is Brian. And then you have Mickey Marcus as like the rival. This guy fucking sucks. This dude is a fucking douche. Female fans adore him though because he's always a gentleman. That's in the profile. And then right after him, you get Jane B. Christie who drives the JB Crystal. And this was where I said to Michael, I'm like, wow, that is a provocative character illustration for like our new hero. Basically, it's just her in like a Skippy outfit, standing like her foot is over someone else's like helmet. And so then we get Nietzsche, quote, the sweep man who drives the Windwalker. Now, this is a Native American, and I told Michael I found out that in Japan, his car was actually called the Crazy Horse, which is the name of an actual Native American leader and also a series of strip clubs in the United States. So that's good. This game is just cursed, man. This game has, like, it's just, there's nothing, like, redeeming about this. I mean, I guess, okay, so wait, who else do we have? Oh, we have Lord Cyber, who's, like, this Lord Farquaad-looking douche. Not really Lord Farquaad, I just kind of stole that. He's blonde hair, he's got, like, a fucking villain from Gundam look to him.
He lives in a castle.
He does live in a castle, which immediately makes him
the coolest part of this manual.
Yeah. He does live in a castle, and by the way, yeah, his machine looks like dog shit. And it looks like shit. And fucking he has lots of servants though, but the source of his income is unknown, which makes him sound like a fucking Tommy Wiseau like figure. And then you have this guy Alex who drives the Stingray, and he's just like he's just a former football player, and he's just some fucking former football player, and he just wears his football gear. This was the new batch of heroes to take over. This was our fucking like Captain Picard.
There's no aliens.
Yeah, there's no aliens. It's just the most boring fucking designs and names, and like every car looks like shit. And I can't get over just how nothing these characters are. I don't think they've ever made a comeback in anything. I don't think even Smash Ultimate like acknowledged this game, with fucking spirits or whatever, where they pulled like this.
I don't think there's any spirits of these dudes. If there were, I wouldn't have known they were.
No, you would just be like, Alex, what is he from? Fucking like, I would have guessed fucking like I would have seen a football guy. I would have guessed fucking Famicom Wars before F-Zero. Like this is truly like a nothing game. I'm sorry that's like kind of mean, but I'm looking at the reviews, by the way, just at least a Wikipedia like collection of the reviews. Reviewed very well. So who am I to judge?
I imagine this was a Game Boy Advance tech demo in the same way the original F-Zero was.
I think it was like explicitly supposed to be that, but it just doesn't work. It really. In fact, yeah, the launch date is the same as the Game Boy Advance launch date. So yeah, this was supposed to be that, and it just goes to show you. If it seemed like we were hyping F-Zero a little much, given how simple it is, I just feel like this game is a good example of what that game could have been if it hadn't had so much like right decisions made during development.
A forgettable tech demo that you look at and goes, that's cool. It looks really nice, and then you play it for 10 seconds and go, oh, this is just a really bad like tech demo. Whereas F-Zero had so much going for it versus this, which I can't think of let's get into it. Your favorites. What is the best music in this game?
Actually, I'll say there's one track I liked. The track for Cloud Carpet I thought was pretty cool. That's it. That's the only track I really cared for. I mean, like, the music. The track even, like, itself, man, just also a bunch of boring, shitty-looking tracks. Just nothing unique about them. I will not remember any of these fucking planets.
Here's a farmland. Cool.
Yeah, there's one that's just a big fucking swamp. And I'm just like, nothing. There's no Big Blue. There's no Firefield. There's no Deathwind. There's just nothing that feels important about this game. There's nothing that feels not iconic, because obviously nothing starts out iconic, but like there's just nothing that I would want to carry on further. There is truly nothing. And I'm sorry to all the people who worked very hard on this game. It is a tech demo for the Game Boy Advance, which would end up having some of the greatest games Nintendo has ever made. This is not one of them. Also, yeah, why do the cars feel like shit to drive? Why does every turn feel like I'm just sliding on ice? You're right. Every single turn feels like you're sliding on ice.
Which makes the worst track in this game. They're all bad. My I say everything, but that mostly that shuttle map, Ancient Mesa, anything with ice, oh my god. So this is one that splits off into two directions, all in ice, and then you got to kind of converge to go back to this narrow pathway to get you back on the track, and you will miss that. If you try to brake, you'll just end up sliding in the opposite direction of what you need to go. So you have to physically stop your car and start moving again. I should never have to stop in an F-Zero game.
No, it's like, yeah, it just, the only way I was able to do these things is by cheesing it, where I would just keep, like, letting go of the accelerator and pressing it, like, really fast. That was the only way to do some of these turns.
In order to make some of these turns, I would just bump into the wall and then move in the opposite direction. Like, use the wall, take a piece of my health off just so I don't have to turn.
Nice.
I really don't like this game.
No, neither did I. I can't say that I hated it. But it's just so inferior to even the Super Nintendo one 10 years earlier that it truly, I was saying that like F-Zero X, I don't know if I'd return. No, I have returned to F-Zero X over the years. I will not be returning to this shit unless absolutely necessary.
Exactly.
There's nothing for me to go back to.
It's a tragedy that this is coming to the Game Boy Advance Nintendo Switch Online. The first game, F-Zero game we're going to get after F-Zero 99 is this, and I am terrified what the implication is. Like, oh, this is what they made after F-Zero. I'm like, no, it's not. This is not the one to get excited about.
Things are different though. Things thankfully go down a different path. It's about to get very experimental for F-Zero.
It is,
and then just a lot of nothing.
Yes, this is that's where we're kind of leaving off for right now. For our second half of this discussion, we are going to be touching on probably the weirdest era of F-Zero coming up. We're going to be touching on, besides the spin-offs and everything, F-Zero GX and AX, the arcade version of GX. F-Zero GP Legend, the anime, as well as F-Zero GP Legend, the game. F-Zero Climax, the long F-Zero drought, and then finally F-Zero 99. I'm going to figure out what episodes of F-Zero GP Legend to watch, as well as where you can find those episodes. A lot of them are unfortunately lost media. So keep an eye out on State of the Save's social medias, at State of the Save on Twitter and Instagram specifically, for those news updates on what we're going to be discussing anime-wise. But you could probably just figure out, like I can, like what are the important beats. You can read plot synopsises on F-Zero GP Legend. And that's what we'll end up talking about next time. So kind of a downer to leave off on here, but I promise you, we are going to be very high on the next item that we're going to be discussing.
Yeah, and, you know, I've been down on F-Zero Maximum Velocity, but I did leave out an important detail about Megan. She is rumored to be a karate expert. And that is her complete bio. That's everything in her character bio.
Finally, some backstory.
Yep. So if you were wondering what Megan's backstory was, I apologize for leaving that out.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, no, Michael, I'm sorry. We have to talk about this Jane B. Christie profile, because this is what we hinted at earlier. Hers says, she looks young, but rumor has it she's misrepresenting her age. What is with, there's like multiple character profiles that are about like people misrepresenting their ages.
I want to say that was like in the first one too, somewhere. It's everywhere. I'm going to be looking out for that in like GX when we get there. But
there was 100% one of the developers was like, he never got over like one ex of his lying about her fucking age, and every time he gets to write part of the manual, he's just going in his head, he's like, that fucking bitch, and he's just writing like lies, fucking their fucking age, make a fool out of me and my fucking you know, just that kind of like aggression that he didn't know how to deal with in a healthy manner. But that's fine, you know, like we all get our weird jollies out in our fucking video game instruction manuals we get to write.
Tanner, thank you so much for joining me for this part one of the F-Zero retrospective.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Getting to talk about F-Zero is genuinely like fantastic. I love talking about this series.
I could talk about it for hours. In fact, we have. This is now easily our longest episode we have ever done for Stay at the Save. I did not anticipate it would be like this, but it has. Thank you all so much for listening to Stay at the Save. stayatthesave@gmail.com for emails or thoughts on this game, other games in the series. We will be back with part 2 at some point. Unlike other game clubs, this doesn't have a timeline because there's so much research, so much games, so much like watching ancillary stuff. So at some point, we are going to reconverge.
And I have to catch up on the Final Fantasy XIV Fall Guys crossover event, which obviously is going to take up a lot of my gaming time.
Of course. So
yeah,
I don't know when this is going to fall into place. I have been talking with Eric about possibly coming back for the Christmas episodes. I don't know which is going to come first, the Christmas episodes that we do or F-Zero. We're just going to have to play it by ear. So again, keep an eye out on social medias at Stay of the Save on TikTok and Instagram, at Stay of the Save on Twitter, Instagram for news updates, TikTok for show clips and crazy shenanigans that emerges. Tanner, thank you once again for joining me for part 1.
Yeah, and all I gotta say is if you think this episode is long, just imagine how long it would be if Maximum Velocity was actually good and we wanted to talk about it.
Exactly. It was a blessing for the listener's ear that maybe Maximum Velocity wasn't very good. Yeah. But but we're going to talk about some all-out banging games next time. And thank you all so much for listening. And as always, stay safe out there.
Show me your moves.